I travel from one world to another doing wholesale sales, and you call this the end of the world? This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 451, Autumn Wind. Arriving at the medical department, Su Wei naturally went straight to Qin Lao's laboratory. If nothing unexpected happened, Qin Lao's food, clothing, housing and transportation were all in the laboratory, and it was easy to find him. Seeing Qin Lao, Su Wei went to the corpse without saying a word. Yes, it was Mahi and Hawkurus. It was very strong to be able to leave a complete corpse under the hammer of Black Phoenix Unit 1. In order to eliminate future troubles and for the sake of medical justice, Su Wei put it into the space without hesitation. Let Qin Lao, an authority, identify the differences between the physical bodies of Shyandao level strongmen. As for Hawkurus, Su Wei was naturally thinking about the blue Chenjin. With the indestructible Pajin, he didn't mind getting himself a set of indestructible battle armor. The results came out soon. The physical body of the Shyandao level was indeed enhanced, but it was only equivalent to the awakened person of the 7th or 8th level. In addition, the characteristics of the ring made all his cells dead, so the research value was not high. Hawkurus's body gave Qin Lao a lot of inspiration. If a special agent is used to melt the metal and inject it into the body, can it play a role in strengthening the body? The new topic immediately aroused the interest of Qin Lao, and he immediately began to prepare the agent, leaving Su Wei, the big boss, alone in the dissection room. Su Wei had to smile bitterly and contact Liu Hongxi with a communicator to ask him to bring Zhang Shu to see if the blue Chen gold can be extracted from Hawkurus's body. The answer is of course yes. It's just that the process and method are a bit cruel, and the body needs to be completely dissolved. However, this is not a psychological pressure for the wastelanders who have experienced the disaster for 10 years. It's just a little troublesome. With a blue Chen gold settled, Su Wei was in a good mood. Humming a little tune, he left the medical department and walked towards the base headquarters. On the way, Su Wei saw a carload of ragged survivors being transported into the base. After a simple registration and disinfection, they were transported to Ironforge and Longwu base respectively. Sister Song, why are there so many strange survivors? When he arrived at the headquarters, Su Wei asked Songdan. Boss, these are all shipped from the Phoenix Nest base. They are the spoils captured by Ma Xiao and the Hidden Wolf cavalry on the front line, Songdan explained with a smile. The Phaeton was thriving, and she was very happy. Although it was only half a year, she felt like she was in another world. No longer had to worry about food, no longer had to despair about zombies, and no longer had to worry about her appearance. After get off work every day, not only did she have delicious dinner and dessert, she could even make a spa. This kind of life was like before the cataclysm. But it was definitely more unforgettable than before the cataclysm. However, all of this was brought by the man in front of him. Oh. That's it, Su Wei couldn't help but smile when he heard it. This Ma Xiao is addicted to guerrilla warfare. What he didn't know was that Ma Xiao had already mastered the essence of guerrilla warfare. When the enemy comes, I retreat, and when the enemy retreats, I advance. With a high mobility and high concealment of the Hidden Wolf cavalry, the demon realm was unable to fight back. There were casualties every day. What is even more speechless is that Ma Xiao did not even let go of the adventurers. None of the survivors she targeted escaped. Almost every day, dozens or hundreds of people who were caught were escorted to the Phoenix Nest base. In a few days, the Phoenix Nest base can transport them to the Phaeton base. Although it is not a lot at a time, the total amount is still considerable over the long run. During the time when Su Wei was away, thousands of people were transported in. Including today's batch, it is almost enough to make up for 10,000. The production speed of the Phaeton has increased slightly again. By the way, where are Zhangling and Yuna? Su Wei looked at the communicator. Zhangling and Yuna's information was not online, which meant that they were not within the range of the Phaeton base. They went crazy with Ma Xiao? Songdan couldn't help but smile bitterly and shook his head. It turned out that seeing Ma Xiao's harvest being transported back to the Phoenix Nest base continuously, Zhangling and Yuna couldn't sit still. Anyway, they were free anyway. So, the two of them also formed their own special forces and went to the demon realm to collect money. They could not only harvest population and materials, but also train soldiers and continuously weaken the demon realm. It would be great to take it in one fell swoop. These two little girls are really restless. Su-wei couldn't help but smile when he heard this. Coming out of the Phaeton base headquarters, Su-wei felt refreshed. He learned about the recent development of the base from Songdan, and there were 2 words, very good. 3 words, very good. Thanks to the rapid population growth, the construction speed of the Black Phoenix Unit 2 is also increasing. It was originally scheduled to take about a year. Now after Fang Yunzi's reevaluation, the time has been shortened to about half a year. If Su-wei can get more resources, this time can be brought forward. This is a top priority, so Su-wei is extremely concerned. He got a list of resources to see if there is any possibility of purchasing from the modern world. Unfortunately, most of them are sophisticated electronic components, which are not yet capable of being made with the technology of the modern world. However, a large amount of metal demand can be purchased from the modern world, and then handed over to Iron Forge for forging. In addition to the metal recycled by the wasteland itself. With a 2-pronged approach, it should be able to speed up a lot. Thinking of this, Su-wei ran to Iron Forge again. Anyway, it only takes more than 10 minutes to connect the highway. Iron Forge is still in charge of Zhengbao, but the scale is no longer the same. With a continuous repair and resumption of work in the factory workshop, the number of people in Iron Forge has reached 10,000. Compared with the previous hundreds of people, it has directly expanded dozens of times. Zhengbao was naturally very happy and welcomed Su-wei when he saw Su-wei coming. It's mute to eat with a boss, right? Nowadays, his life is naturally very leisurely, and he has asked for 3 or 4 wives. The wasteland population resources are extremely scarce, and in order to restore the population, the more the better. However, necessary ethics and morals must still be formulated. Everything must be based on the voluntary participation of both parties. Otherwise, there will be no mercy. Severe punishments must be used in troubled times. After understanding the production capacity of Iron Forge, Su-wei now has a bottom line in his heart. Based on artificial intelligence management, the Ministry of Science and Technology has replaced the energy core of Iron Forge, and directly installed a controlled hydrogen fusion reactor. Not only is the energy clean, but the power is also extremely strong. The current amount is not enough for it to eat. Therefore, all the raw ore can be consumed. The most important thing is that it does not have vacations in the wasteland world. It works in shifts directly, 24 hours a day, all year round. Under Zhengbao's kind invitation, Su-wei stayed in Iron Forge for dinner. Various canned foods and vegetables grown in the Phaeton base. It was not rich for him, but it was a rare feast in the wasteland. Chapter 452 Contraband. After leaving Iron Forge, Su-wei did not return to Phaeton, but went to the wilderness, from where he was directly teleported back to the modern world. As soon as he returned to the cabin, Su-wei's phone rang frantically. He took it out and saw that it was Cadman's special phone. "Brother Paro, you finally answered the phone." As soon as the call was connected, Cadman's anxious voice came from the phone. "What's wrong, old Ka?" Su-wei asked hurriedly. "One of our freighters was surrounded by U.S. warships at sea. They said that according to reliable intelligence from the CIA, our freighter violated international conventions and privately transported chemical weapons raw materials. They asked us to order the freighter to accept their boarding inspection, otherwise, they will impose sanctions on us." Meninia, Cadman said indignantly. The new government of Meninia had just been established not long ago, and the domestic situation had only improved. There was no navy at all. Now that something like this happened, there was no chance to confront the other party. "What's on the freighter?" Su-wei frowned slightly, but still asked first. "Some daily necessities and some regular raw materials. All of them are destined for Xinghu weapons. There are absolutely no prohibited items." Cadman swore to heaven. The shipping company to which this freighter belongs has shares in the Meninia government. The United States is making things difficult for them, which is simply a naked slap in the face of the Meninia government. "Where is the freighter in the sea? What is its name?" Su-wei's brows furrowed even more. "In the Manga Sea. The freighter is called the Jasajaya. According to the rescue message sent back by the freighter, they have been surrounded by a fleet of the United States, several warships, 2 attack submarines, and shipborne armed helicopters, and they threaten that they only have 6 hours to convey the order. Once the time is up, the United States will order a forced boarding and inspection. 2 hours have passed. Cardman replied quickly, 6 hours, not to mention that Meninia does not have a navy now. Even if it does, this time is not enough for them to rush over. This is obviously a conspiracy carefully planned by the United States. Prepare to make a big fuss about this incident. Does the other party have any evidence? Sue asked while turning on the screen projection on the bracelet and browsing the relevant reports of this incident. Now all major media are reporting frantically, especially those controlled by the United States, which spare no effort to discredit Meninia. At the same time, it was reported insinuating that the Xinghu soldiers were developing inhumane chemical weapons and called for a global boycott of Xinghu weapons. And called on the United Nations to thoroughly investigate Xinghu weapons to ensure regional peace. The internet is full of various versions. In short, in just a few hours, this incident topped the global hot search list. Many people have begun to denounce Meninia and Xinghu weapons. Strongly request that the Jasajaya freighter be inspected to ensure that there are no prohibited chemical weapons production raw materials. Daksha, Zidane and other friendly countries have voiced their support for Meninia and Xinghu, but in the big wave, it seems insignificant. We asked them to show relevant evidence, but the U.S. military refused on the grounds of state secrets. Not only did they refuse third-party participation in the inspection, they also said we were looking for excuses to delay time so that they could destroy the contraband on the Jasajaya. Alice, actually, these are irrelevant. The Jasajaya is now in their hands. They have the final say on what they can find. Cadman's voice was full of helplessness and worry. Once framed, not only would Meninia's image suffer a huge blow, but the allied countries led by the United States would also take the opportunity to add insult to injury. They might even send troops to attack Meninia in the name of maintaining world peace. Iraq is a good example. A piece of land that was originally peaceful and rich was destroyed because the CIA said that a raw material suspected of making weapons of mass destruction was found in their industrial raw materials. For this reason, without the authorization of the United Nations, the United States brazenly launched a war of peace against Iraq. The result was nothing, but the current Iraq is torn apart, warlords are rampant, and the people are living in poverty. Cadman does not want to see Meninia, which was built with great difficulty, fall into the same fate. Oldka, if you want to be an enemy of the United States, do you dare? After listening to Cadman's statement, Sue suddenly asked. A dare? What's there to be afraid of? At worst, both sides will die. After a slight hesitation, Cadman immediately said loudly. I am afraid of the hard days, but it does not mean that I can compromise. Although Iraq has failed, Meninia is different. They have Xinghu weapons, an arsenal that spans the ages. If anyone in the world can create miracles, Cadman thinks Paro can. Okay, just be mentally prepared. Now you issue a notice in the name of the Meninia government. The U.S. fleet is required to withdraw within 1 hour, otherwise it will be regarded as a provocation to the Meninia government. The consequences will be at your own risk, Sue said in a low voice. It's time to show real technology. Okay, Cardman agreed immediately after hearing this. After that, Sue hung up the phone. He was not in a hurry to do anything, but took a leisurely cold shower and changed into a clean set of clothes. Then, he took out a dozen beers from the refrigerator, found some snacks, and placed them on the coffee table. Speaking of which, how can you watch a good show without doing anything? Disgusting. Finishing a bottle of ice beer first, feeling the coolness, Sue turned on the screen projection on the bracelet again. Soon he saw the announcement released by Meninia in multiple languages. Sue glanced at the release time, and half an hour had passed since then. The U.S. military did not respond at all, and it was obvious that they were not going to pay attention. However, those pro-U.S. people jumped out one after another and ridiculed Meninia to their heart's content. They said that you don't even have half a destroyer. What can you use to make the U.S. fleet evacuate? Take a pressure cooker? Who gave you the courage? Fish Liang. In short, the internet was full of mocking voices, waiting to see Meninia's joke. The Starlight weapons were powerful, but they only existed on Meninia's homeland. The power armor was powerful, but that was at sea, not to mention whether the power armor could be boarded and used for combat. Even if it could, with Meninia's current conditions, how could the power armor be sent over? Air transport? There were no aerial refueling tankers. Sea transport? Rowing a fishing boat? That would be too late to send the armor there, not to mention an hour, even if it took a month. Chapter 453 Reasoning. Looking at the wave of ridicule on the internet, Sue just smiled and didn't take it to heart at all. Some people are always self-righteous. After closing the webpage, Su Wei directly ordered to connect to the shunting system and input the coordinates provided by Cadman. The area where the accident occurred was found. Through the satellite, the Jasajaya was seen, and it was indeed surrounded by a small U.S. fleet. Led by a cruiser, 2 destroyers and 3 frigates forced the Jasajaya freighter to stop on the water and surrounded it, with a distance of only 1 kilometer. Although the size of the Jasajaya freighter is not inferior to that of a cruiser, it is just a passive live target and can only stay there aggrieved and frustrated. 2 armed helicopters flew over the head of the Jasajaya freighter in the air, patrolling back and forth, directly threatening the personal safety of the freighter crew. As for the 2 attack submarines, they were parked 100 meters underwater at the bottom of the freighter. In front of the shunting system, hiding in the water is also invisible. Interestingly, more than 10 nautical miles away from the scene of the incident, there is an American aircraft carrier fleet anchored. It is not difficult to guess that the small fleet surrounding the freighter, Jasajaya, is a member of this aircraft carrier fleet. Damn, the Americans want to play big this time. Unfortunately, they chose the wrong target. Soon, Su Wei will make them regret making such a decision. Connect to the freighter Jasajaya. Su Wei put on a pair of headphones while giving orders to the artificial intelligence. The communication was quickly connected. I am Paro, the commander of the Starlight weapon. Who is in charge? Su Wei introduced himself directly. As soon as the words of the commander of the Starlight weapon came out, everyone in the cockpit of the Jasajaya calmed down. The uneasy heart also subsided a lot. Because these words have special meaning in Manania. Hello, Commander, I am Captain Etteri of the Jasajaya. At this time, a middle-aged black man in a captain's uniform hurried to the satellite communicator, grabbed the communicator and replied. Hello, Captain Etteri, please report the current damage, Su Wei asked. Commander, except for the restriction of navigation, there is no other damage for the time being, Etteri replied. Received, please notify all crew members to enter the cabin immediately to evacuate. No matter what the other party asks, we will refuse it, Su Wei began to arrange. Understood, Commander, Etteri responded loudly after hearing it. Although it was just a few short conversations, it made him and the crew find support, and they were instantly revived with full health and full status, no longer helpless and wandering like before. Slee, hurry up, notify everyone to return to the cabin. No one is allowed to come out without my notice, Etteri, who put down the satellite communicator, immediately shouted to a female crew member. There was a little more excitement in his voice. A man is a teenager until he dies. He had also thought about galloping on the battlefield, but unfortunately he was forced into the business world by life. Just now from Su Wei's words, he heard tough, tough, and tough again. Although he didn't know what Xinghu would do, he would definitely not let him down. Because, from the rise of Cadman to now, Xinghu has never let the people of Manania down. Got it, Captain. The crew member named Slee immediately turned on the communicator of each crew leader and passed on the captain's notice. Soon, the crew members who were originally standing on the deck rushed to the cabin. This abnormal action naturally could not escape the surveillance of the armed helicopter. They immediately contacted the flagship and sent back the captured images. Colonel, there is a situation. In the cockpit of the U.S. cruiser, a soldier suddenly reported loudly. What's the situation? A middle-aged white-skinned officer in camouflage combat uniform came over when he heard the voice. Blonde hair, blue eyes, high-nose bridge, a typical American. He is the captain of the cruiser, Colonel Miro Parsons, and his cruiser also serves as the command ship for this mission. Colonel, all the crew members on the Jasajaya suddenly retreated to the cabin. It seems that they have received some kind of order. The reporting soldier played the pictures taken by the armed helicopter. Looking at the played pictures, Miro Parsons showed a solemn look. Stop, zoom in here. Suddenly, Miro Parsons stopped the soldier's playback and pointed to a crew member on the screen and asked to zoom in. Yes, Colonel, the soldier immediately operated manually. Soon, a menial crew member was enlarged to the entire screen. Miro Parsons was suddenly stunned. What did he see? The crew member was actually smiling. Yes, a smile from the heart. It was completely different from the previous hesitation and worry. What did they get? Search the nearby waters immediately, notify Seawolf number 2 to start underwater cruising. Miro Parsons couldn't help but feel nervous. Although he knew that Xinghu had no maritime strength, the power armor was still a little worried. He didn't want to be messed up in such a mission. If that were the case, His military career would be over. Drowned, Colonel, the soldier immediately received the order. He immediately passed the order of the flagship captain down. But after receiving the order, the two armed helicopters in the air immediately turned around and flew in two opposite directions to conduct aerial reconnaissance. On the ship, the radar system expanded the search range and search accuracy. Underwater, an attack submarine started and began to cruise around the center of the Jasajaya position to search the underwater area. Beep beep beep. Suddenly, an abnormal buzzing sound was heard in the cockpit of the cruiser. Colonel, an unknown signal is trying to establish communication with us, another soldier reported loudly. Huh? Can you detect the source of the signal? Miro Parsons hurriedly walked behind the soldier and asked. No, sir, the soldier answered bluntly. He had tried it, but unfortunately it didn't work. Beep beep beep. The buzzing sound seemed to be urging something, and it kept ringing. Establish a connection. After thinking again and again, Miro Parsons decided to see who the other party was. Drown, sir. Establish connection. Channel 1. The soldier received the order and immediately operated it skillfully. Soon, a burst of noise came from the number 1 communicator. Squeak. I am Paro, the commander of Xinghu Weapon. Request your fleet to evacuate quickly, otherwise, you will bear the consequences. Then, the voice processed by Su Wei came from the communicator. Paro, Milo Parsons couldn't help shrinking his eyes when he heard it. This is a person on the U.S. military list. Is he here? Contacting the expressions of the crew of the Jasajaya before, Milo Parsons couldn't help but feel a little excited. If this enemy can be eliminated, it will be a great achievement. Chapter 454. Preparing to attack. Commander Paro, I'm Colonel Miro Parsons. We have reliable intelligence that the Jasajaya is carrying international contraband. For the sake of peace in the local area, we must board the ship for inspection. I hope you can cooperate. Humanity will thank you for your contribution to this. Miro Parsons directly delayed time. At the same time, he gestured to the soldiers, asking them to continue tracking the source of the signal. As long as they can lock it, they can immediately launch a counterattack against it. Colonel Miro Parsons, I'm notifying you, not asking for your opinion. Arguing with me is a waste of your time, Su Wei said unmoved. Our time? What time? Miro Parsons directly pretended to be stupid. Hey, not bad, good acting. In that case, I will reluctantly say it again. The Maninian government has issued a notice, requiring you to release it within 1 hour. Now, there are exactly 10 minutes left, Su Wei said with a sneer. Oh God, what announcement? We didn't receive it. Besides, maintaining world peace is our responsibility, isn't it, Commander Paro? Milo Parsons said with a smile and humor. Maintain world peace? What a joke. The world will be truly peaceful only when your country, the United States, no longer exists, isn't it, Colonel Milo Parsons? Su Wei also responded without showing any weakness. You Milo Parsons was immediately very angry. By the way, I know you are tracking the source of my signal. Don't waste your energy anymore. I can tell you clearly that I am in Maninia now. In addition, I have to warn you, the dignity of Maninia cannot be violated. Take care of yourself. Goodbye. Beep beep beep. As soon as Su Wei finished speaking, a busy tone came from the communication channel. Sorry, sir. Looking at Milo Parsons' inquiring eyes, the soldier raised his hands with an innocent look, indicating that he had tried his best, but to no avail. It's okay. The other party is just bluffing. Miro Parsons patted the soldier on the shoulder and said. The helicopters and submarines sent out for reconnaissance did not report any abnormalities, which means that this sea area is safe. Beep, beep, beep. But at this moment, a terrifying alarm sounded in the cockpit, and all the display screens flashed red. At the same time, a window popped up on the main screen. It was the announcement issued by the Maninian government. Below it, there was a timer. It showed the countdown of the last 10 minutes. The consequences on the announcement were at your own risk, marked in red, and looked bloody. Who the hell can tell me what just happened? After being shocked, Miro Parsons asked the soldier operating the warship with an unhappy face. Sir, our warship system has been hacked, a young soldier quickly replied. The pop-up window on the main screen is the best proof. Wow, fuck. Miro Parsons was shocked. Someone could actually hack into the warship system. Is God playing a joke on him? Restart the system immediately. Although he was shocked, the facts were in front of him, and Miro Parsons could not help but believe it. Sir, it will take a few minutes to restart the system, but the countdown, a soldier couldn't help but remind him. Who knows what will happen in 10 minutes? Don't worry about it, Make sure our system is safe first. Miro Parsons directly rejected the soldier's proposal. Drown, sir. System restart. 321. Restart. Restart successful. It is expected to take 3 minutes and 26 seconds. During this period, switch to manual mode. All departments take over. The soldier reported the progress loudly while operating. At the same time, combat readiness alarms sounded everywhere on the cruiser. This is the routine of system restart to ensure that there will be no attack during this period. Sir, the battleship system has been successfully started. All weapon systems are online. The system is running well. More than 3 minutes passed quickly. Looking at the system that has returned to normal, the soldiers in the cockpit couldn't help but cheer, as if they had won a battle. Beep Rainer. Before the cheers ended, the screen flashed red, and the countdown pop-up window came into view again. Fuck. Damn for a moment, the excited soldiers were hit hard. An ominous premonition suddenly came. Is this the method of Xinghu weapons? Contact Colonel Woodland for me immediately. Milo Parsons frowned. At this time, he felt that the situation was a bit serious. Not to mention other things, the invasion of the warship system alone was a big deal. Drowned, sir. Soon the soldier sent a call request to the aircraft carrier formation not far away. Colonel Woodland was the captain of the aircraft carrier. I am Colonel Woodland, please speak. A low and slightly hoarse voice came from the communicator. Sir, we may be in trouble here. Milo Parsons quickly reported what happened just now in detail. Including what Su Wei said, not a word is wrong. Colonel Milo Parsons, the mission continues. I will send the best engineers to support. At the same time, I will send fighters to your area to ensure safety. In the communicator, after a brief silence, the voice of the aircraft carrier Captain Woodland came again. Drowned, sir. Milo Parsons quickly stood at attention and accepted the order. The call ended. Go and ask them to prepare to pick up the engineer on board. After Milo Parsons put down the microphone, he quickly arranged. On the other side of the aircraft carrier, an armed helicopter carrying a senior engineer flew into the blue sky. At the same time, 2 carrier-based fighters took off from the flight deck one after another, flying together to the sea area where the Jasajaya was located. Since it was just a routine cruise, the pilots were very relaxed and even chatted in the communication channel. They looked like they were laughing. Through the shinting system, the fighters and helicopters taking off from the aircraft carrier naturally did not escape Su Wei's eyes. HMPH, are you planning to never repent? Su Wei half lying on the sofa, his feet on the coffee table, holding a chicken leg in one hand and a bottle of wine in the other. Looking at the holographic projection screen in the air, he said to himself. Start Kunpeng 1, equip high explosive submunitions. Glancing at the countdown, there were about 3 minutes left. The U.S. fleet had no intention of evacuating, but instead sent more fighters to support. So Su Wei used artificial intelligence to give the Starlight main brain, which was thousands of miles away, an order to prepare for the attack. Chapter 455 Critical Hit. Received. Start the Kunpeng No. 1 launcher. Load high explosive submunitions in the underground workshop of Xinghu weapons thousands of miles away. The Xinghu main brain executed the order transmitted by Su Wei without hesitation. The intelligent robot put the stored high explosive submunitions into the conveyor track, and the mechanical arm immediately installed it on the Kunpeng intercontinental missile body in the No. 1 launch silo. At the same time, the launch silo mouth on the surface was slowly opened, and red warning lights flashed in the Xinghu weapons factory. The launch area was immediately put under martial law. Chu Haoan, Dong Zhao and others who were alarmed just took a look and asked everyone to return to their jobs and continue working. Because Su Wei had explained to them before that he could remotely control the intelligence system of Xinghu weapons. Coupled with the official announcement of Meninia before, several people obviously guessed what Su Wei was going to do. Unfortunately, they could not participate in it and felt deeply regretful. Ding Kunpeng No. 1 activated. Ding Kunpeng No. 1 launcher loaded. In less than a minute, the Kunpeng intercontinental ballistic missile was ready to be launched at any time. There was synchronized information on the holographic projection screen on Su Wei's side. Lock on the target. Su Wei continued to give orders to the artificial intelligence. The shinting system immediately locked the hostile targets surrounding the Jasajaya, including 6 warships, 2 armed helicopters, 2 underwater attack submarines, and even the 1 armed helicopter and 2 carrier-based fighters that were rushing over. All were locked by the shinting system. There are a total of 13 strike targets. Don't worry, The high-explosive submunitions carried by the Kunpeng carry a total of 20 warheads. And the explosion core is hydrogen metal. At the same equivalent, it contains 40 to 50 times the energy of TNT. So, don't look at the small warhead of Kunpeng. Once it explodes, the power is amazing. Even for big guys like cruisers and destroyers, only one missile is needed to make them lose their combat effectiveness. If there is another missile, they can be sunk directly. Therefore, the 6 warships will be specially taken care of, especially the cruiser. Colonel Miro Parsons, right, may you be lucky. Su Wei looked at the countdown and said with a wicked smile 10,987, far away in the Manga Sea. The people on the cruiser were also staring at the countdown. The mechanical sound of the clock gears rang in my ears. Click 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 3,210. There was a suffocating silence, and only the sound of various instruments working in the cockpit. The countdown pop-up window was frozen at 0 hours, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds. However, nothing happened. The sky outside was still blue, and the sea was still rippling. But suddenly, a sound of propellers came. Everyone was instinctively startled. "Sir, the engineers have arrived." At this time, a soldier reported. Everyone's hearts finally settled down. Looking sideways from the porthole, they saw a U.S. armed helicopter flying towards the cruiser. The senior engineer will use the rappelling rope to land directly on the deck of the battleship. Pit Milo Parsons couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. It seems that Commander Paro is really bluffing. However, the ability to invade the battleship system is still commendable. But that's all. Everyone in the cockpit also breathed a sigh of relief, and the tense atmosphere relaxed. The soldiers even began to talk and laugh. Because in 2 hours, they can take action. It's just a shabby civilian freighter, not even a big toy in their eyes. Ding! But at this moment, a shrill alarm suddenly sounded. And there was more than one. Almost all combat units sounded shrill alarms. Fuck. It's a missile. Damn it, we've been locked. Boom boom boom. Miro Parsons and others didn't have time to react before the warship was attacked one after another. The violent explosion tore the warship into 2 pieces. The cockpit was suddenly as if the sky was falling and the earth was splitting. Everyone was thrown out. Miro Parsons was very unfortunate and flew out of the broken porthole. In mid-air, he saw a scene that he would never forget. All the warships surrounding the freighter were hit by mysterious weapons and burst into flames. The 3 armed helicopters disintegrated in the air without any reaction. Although the 2 fighter planes that came to support reacted quickly, they were directly blown up before they could complete the action. There were 2 more big fireballs in the sky. Boom boom. In the violent explosion, there were also 2 particularly dull explosions. Immediately following, 2 huge explosion whirlpools appeared on the sea surface. If Miro Parsons remembered correctly, that should be the location of the 2 attack submarines. Plop. Miro Parsons fell directly into the cold seawater without any struggle. The violent impact made him unconscious instantly, and he sank into the deep sea. It really fulfilled the old saying, drown the commander after saying so much. In fact, all of this happened in an instant. The strikes on more than 10 targets were completed almost at the same time, with a time difference of no more than 10 seconds. Such a terrifying ability frightened all the American soldiers present. The most important thing is that they couldn't even see the shadow of the attacker. Although the radar detected it, the speed was too fast, and even the close defense system didn't have time to start, and it was directly hit. Such a terrifying strike capability is unprecedented. Oh yeah, compared with the miserable situation of the American soldiers crying for their parents. The Jisajaya was a scene of joy. Although the ship was very bumpy due to the explosion, it did not stop Ettore and his crew from cheering. Even if they fell and hit their heads, they would not hesitate. Beep, beep, beep. At this time, the satellite communication device rang, and Ettore quickly turned it on. Jisajaya, the danger has been lifted, we can set sail. Su Wei's voice came from the communicator. Roar. Thank you, Commander Paro, Ettore roared with excitement. Such a strong response instantly made many of them excited. If the conditions did not allow it, he would have wanted to jump into the water and capture a few American soldiers for fun. You're welcome home, Su Wei said caringly, and then closed the call. Silly quickly notify all units to set sail, let's go home. Captain Ettore was so excited that he danced with joy, like a child. He never dreamed that he would be able to see his motherland so strong in his lifetime. No regrets in this life, Chapter 456, Fantastic. Amid the howling of the American soldiers, the Jazagaya sailed away gracefully. Before leaving, it blew its whistle a few times, as if applauding the American soldiers. It also seemed to be an endless mockery of these previously domineering American soldiers. It really fulfilled the saying, "How arrogant you are at the beginning, how embarrassed you will be at the end." However, at this time, the American soldiers were already in a panic of death, and they had no time to care about the situation of the Jazagaya. Report, sir, our fleet, submarines, and fighters have been hit by an unknown attack and are all offline. At the same time, a soldier on the U.S. aircraft carrier shouted in panic. What? Colonel Woodland, who was about to drink a cup of coffee, was so shocked that he almost spilled the coffee on himself. He quickly put down the cup and walked quickly behind the soldier who reported. I saw that on the instrument in front of me, many red bars jumped out, which were warships, submarines, and fighters going to carry out the mission. What's going on? A counterattack by the Jazagaya, or an attack from the Maninian Navy? Woodland was stunned for a moment. But no matter which possibility it was impossible. Let alone anything else. How powerful a force would it take to destroy 6 warships and 2 submarines at the same time? He thought that even a round of attack by an aircraft carrier formation could not be so clean and neat. Sir, the Jazagaya has set sail. Should we pursue it? Another soldier hurriedly reported. Send destroyer number 03, frigates number 07 and number 08 to the scene of the accident to rescue people. Sound the alarm, and the aircraft carrier formation enters the first level of combat readiness. Woodland pondered for a moment and immediately gave the order. Drowned, sir. After receiving the order, the soldier immediately passed it down. Woo. For a moment, the alarm bells on the aircraft carrier rang loudly, and red alarm lights flashed everywhere. All the personnel on leave immediately got up and rushed to their posts. The carrier-based fighters in the hangar were also lifted to the flight deck by elevators one after another and entered the takeoff state. As long as the captain gave an order, they could immediately take off and fight. Amid the alarm, 3 warships broke away from the aircraft carrier formation and rushed towards the sea area where the accident occurred. At the same time, Woodland called the Navy command. He reported to his superiors that the fleet had been attacked and suffered serious casualties. This undoubtedly stirred up a hornet's nest. The Octagon building of the United States, far across the ocean, was in chaos. Oh my God, Maniniya actually dared to launch an attack. Aren't they afraid that the U.S. Army would come to the border and directly wipe out this tiny country? How dare they? From the U.S. Secretary of Defense to the U.S. operator, they all wondered if there was something wrong with their ears. They actually heard such unrealistic information. However, no matter how much they didn't believe it, the facts were already in front of them. What should they do? Chase after it, sink the Jazagaya, and then drive the aircraft carrier formation directly to Maninia's coastline to declare war? But don't forget that Xinghu has the most advanced power armor in the world, and is almost invincible in land warfare. Unless the United States pays a huge price, there is no hope. In addition, Xinghu's mysterious boss behind the scenes. Even if Maniniya is wiped out, it can still appear in another Maniniya. Therefore, before there is no way to eradicate Xinghu, even the United States, which claims to be the world's #1 military power, dare not act rashly. Ladies and gentlemen, tell me, what should we do now? In a conference room in the Octagon, U.S. President Kinsden looked at everyone present with a sullen face. Chief Diplomat of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Mir King, Minister of Defense Ellison and his staff. However, this time the Security Bureau was attended by James Bridge, Assistant to Director John D., who is now the new Director of the Security Bureau. As for the former Director John D., he has resigned due to a series of mistakes. The previous attack on Zhuhai Industrial Park was his desperate attempt, and he sent out Huaqiris, who had been hidden for a long time, which shows that he is also at his wit's end. I'm afraid his life will not be too easy. Mr. President, this matter has already attracted widespread attention around the world. If there is no conclusion, it will probably cause a big blow to our country's prestige. Chief Diplomat Mir King looked worried. If this matter is left unresolved, many countries will seize this opportunity to laugh at the United States. At that time, their diplomatic work will be greatly affected. James Bridge chose to remain silent. He was opposed to this matter. It was the military's insistence that led to the current embarrassing situation. Besides, in Maniniya now, the United States has no infiltration except the embassy. As the new Director of Security, He naturally has no say. Mr. President, let's go to war. I don't believe it. A small Menenia and a small star weapon can turn the world upside down. Defense Minister Arison is a war advocate and has long been unable to swallow this breath. After the defeat on the battlefield of Menenia, their military wanted to go to war directly, but under the pressure of Daksha and other countries, they had to give up. Now, a small Menenia dared to openly attack the U.S. fleet. This is undoubtedly a naked provocation. How can we bear this? Although the casualties have not been counted, it can be predicted from the photos of damage taken by satellites that there are definitely many. How will they face the families of the soldiers who died? Only a war can avenge the shame. Start a war. What are the chances of winning? President Kinston asked thoughtfully. Your Excellency the President, although the power armor of the star weapons is very strong, the number is too small. In large-scale operations, they cannot change the situation. We can use a large number of missile attacks to directly wipe out the star weapons. The new government forces of Menenia are not a concern. A staff officer of the Ministry of Defense spoke at the suggestion of Minister Ellison. Indeed, once a full-scale war against Menenia is launched, the hundreds of power-armored soldiers of the star weapons will be powerless to stop it. If missiles are used to destroy its hometown, the power-armored soldiers will also be exhausted by time. Well, President Kinston couldn't help but nod in agreement. He still trusts the comprehensive combat capabilities of the U.S. military. In a local war, the power armor of star weapons may be used, but in a full-scale war, the few power armors are not enough. Besides, the power armor is powered by electricity, and no matter how long the endurance is, it is impossible to fight indefinitely. Therefore, after destroying their nest, as long as you avoid their sharp edge, even the strongest power armor soldiers will be exhausted to death. And long-range strikes are the most common tricks used by the United States. Chapter 457, Domination of the World. In the conference room, there was a silence. Everyone was waiting for President Kinston's final decision. Mr. President, before making a decision, I think everyone should take a look at this latest data first. At this time, a staff officer of the Ministry of Defense suddenly spoke up. Minister Ellison couldn't help but frown. Oh, President Kinston's attention was immediately attracted, and he nodded at the middle-aged staff officer. Indicated him to show it. First, let's take a look at the images taken by the satellite. This can help us understand the enemy more intuitively. The middle-aged staff officer stood up and turned on the big screen in the conference room. Soon, a group of videos began to play on the big screen. Yes, not one, but a group of multi-angle shooting pictures, so that everyone can clearly see the whole process of the U.S. fleet being attacked. Slow down, only to see a warhead falling from the sky, above the fleet, breaking into 20 missiles, and then attacking air, surface and underwater targets respectively. This is the image taken by the U.S. monitoring satellite, absolutely real. After watching this video, the conference room fell silent again. The size of the missile and its explosive equivalent are obviously disproportionate. It can be predicted that the other party is definitely not using conventional explosives. Where did the attack come from? President Kinston finally realized the source of the problem. How many such weapons does the other party have? What is the strike range? It was so easy to destroy a small fleet, so what about the aircraft carrier formation? Mr. President, we have checked thousands of nautical miles and have not found any equipment capable of launching large missiles. From the analysis of the warhead picture, we guess that it is an intercontinental missile that Xinghu Weapons has announced, code-named Kunpeng, the middle-aged staff officer said and called up the test video that Xinghu officially announced before. The style of the Kunpeng warhead is very similar to the one taken by the satellite, and it can be determined to be from the same series. Hiss. Hearing this conclusion, everyone in the conference room couldn't help but gasp. The deterrent power of intercontinental missiles is unique. When Xinghu Weapons announced the Kunpeng, many people were skeptical. They all thought that Xinghu Weapons was deliberately making a mystery. After all, the range of 30,000 kilometers alone has already surpassed the level of all current countries. Who would believe it? Retribution in this life. Now the facts are laid bare before our eyes. Xinghu Weapons have no naval power, so the possibility of ship-launched and submarine-launched missiles is ruled out. Xinghu Weapons also have no overseas bases, so the possibility of nearby bases is ruled out. Then the only remaining answer is that the attacking intercontinental ballistic missile was launched from the mainland of Menenia. According to the countdown of Menenia's announcement, The time from the end of the countdown to the warship being hit by the missile was no more than 1 minute. This shows that the speed of Kunpeng is at least 20 times the speed of sound. The middle-aged staff officer continued to interpret the data. In less than a minute, it crossed thousands of kilometers and then hit accurately. It's terrifying to think about it. Everyone, please look at another detail. When the missile hit, our warship's close defense system did not move at all. Then this shows another point. The terminal speed of Kunpeng is far more than 20 times the speed of sound, so with current technology, it is impossible to intercept it. The middle-aged staff officer then pointed out a fatal point. It cannot be intercepted. In other words, if Kunpeng is equipped with nuclear warheads and attacks the U.S. mainland, it will hit the target with one strike. Such a deterrent is enough for the U.S. to attach great importance to it. So does Xinghu have nuclear warheads? Are you kidding? With such awesome missile technology, how can it not make nuclear bombs? Besides, the U.S. cannot gamble, and dare not gamble. The conference room fell silent again. At the same time, other major countries also studied this precision strike through their own satellite images. In the end, they came to the same conclusion: ultra-long distance, ultra-high precision, and ultra-power. In short, there are two words: invincible. Even if Maninia and Xinghu weapons can be wiped out in the end, no one can predict how many such killer weapons can be unleashed by Xinghu weapons before they die. Can their own country bear the loss? In the end, under the powerful deterrence of Kunpeng, U.S. President Kensington gave up the decision to go to war with Maninia. At the same time, it was announced that the CIA intelligence was wrong, and the Jazajai did not carry any contraband. All of this was a conspiracy of terrorists. So, the U.S. Navy destroyed 2 more terrorist bases to fill the hole. The reported matter was also deliberately kept cold and nothing happened. As for the destroyed warships and submarines, it was claimed that the explosion was caused by a malfunction in the ammunition storage depot. Well, it means that 6 warships and 2 submarines blew themselves up. The probability of such an accident is also very high. However, who cares, as long as it can cover up the mistakes of the U.S. military? In the end, the matter ended with the U.S. Navy losing 6 warships, 2 attack submarines, 2 fighter jets, 23 armed helicopters, and thousands of casualties. Although it was not stated explicitly, everyone knew it. The United States kicked the iron plate this time. So far, no one dared to despise Maninia and Xinghu weapons. The performance of Kunpeng has been regarded as a textbook by major countries. Work hard to improve their own missile technology. Because Xinghu weapons have proved the feasibility of missiles hitting aircraft carriers. In comparison, the cost and maintenance of missiles are much cheaper than aircraft carriers. If nothing unexpected happens, before there is a counterbalance, even the American aircraft carriers will not dare to sail on the sea as recklessly as before. You know, the range of Kunpeng is 30,000 kilometers. The equator of the Earth is only more than 40,000 kilometers, which means that Kunpeng can achieve global strikes. This is terrifying. This is also the main reason why the United States has to retreat. He gave up. Su Wei, who was in the cabin, smiled when he saw the U.S. aircraft carrier formation evacuate. He was ready to go to Maninia. Once the U.S. aircraft carrier dares to approach the Jazajaya, Su Wei would not recommend another 2 Kunpengs to directly destroy one of the opponent's aircraft carrier formations. One trip to eat all the world. Now as long as you hold Kunpeng, you can dominate the world. It feels good to be so high. The U.S. aircraft carrier formation left in a hurry. It didn't even wait for the 3 warships that came to rescue it. It evacuated the sea area and rushed to its hometown. It was obviously afraid that Xinghu would hit it again. After Su Wei confirmed that everything was correct, he packed up and left the cabin and went to Yanshujian. After parking the car in the parking space, Su Wei went in. When he walked into the backyard, he found that the lights in the room were on. He couldn't help but quicken his pace and walked in. Xiaohu, why did you come back just now? The food is cold. Hearing the footsteps coming in, Xia Wei, who was sitting at the table waiting, stood up quickly. Sister Wei. Su Wei smiled immediately. I'm in for a treat tonight. Oh. Chapter 458, Old Ka Gets Married. I don't know if it's an illusion. After the Jasajaya incident, I feel that the world environment has become much more peaceful. But if you think about it, you will understand that if the United States restrains its minions and stops making trouble everywhere, it will naturally become much more harmonious. This is the ideal environment that many countries dream of. Many countries that are not aware of it have increased their development efforts. A few countries that are aware of it have shown goodwill to Meninia and Xinghu weapons. In the case of being unable to fight, making friends naturally becomes the only choice. So, a strange phenomenon appeared. It is obviously a small country that is not even a third country, but it is visited by major powers every day. Everyone wants to invest here, in the name of helping Meninia develop. In fact, most of them want to control certain resources through economic and trade channels, so as to take a certain initiative. What's more, they even shamelessly propose to cooperate with Xinghu weapons for joint development and research. For these hypocritical guys, Cadman naturally ignored them and only wanted to befriend Daksha. At the same time, Xinghu weapons was listed as a restricted area, and it was forbidden to visit or approach. Of course, Su Wei's decision was indispensable. He has a technology team in the wasteland world, so he naturally doesn't look down on it, and there is no risk of working behind closed doors. The main goal now is to purchase a large number of various minerals, the more the better. With a previous experience of the Jasajaya, Meninia's ocean-going industry has developed rapidly. Almost 90% of freighters are rushing to serve Xinghu. With such a strong backing, what is there to be afraid of? For a time, freighters flying the Meninian flag and the Xinghu weapon flag could sail in any corner of the sea. Not to mention pirates, even if Laomi came, he would still be defeated. Of course, the prerequisite is to operate legitimately, otherwise Xinghu will not let them go first. The benefits brought by the strength of the motherland are everywhere. Meninia has shown unprecedented prosperity, and Cadman has also been hailed as the most accomplished president in history, without a doubt. Paro. My good brother, finally, you are here, Mugaza. In the presidential palace, Cadman saw Su Wei coming and immediately gave him a bear hug with great enthusiasm. Su Wei, who was not used to this, naturally broke free quickly. If he had not restrained most of his strength, Cadman would have probably flown out directly. However, Cadman didn't care about Su Wei's shyness at all, and continued to hold his hand and pat it constantly. In this way, he showed his inner excitement. The Jasajaya incident directly pushed his status to an extremely high position, and it was not an exaggeration to become the savior in the hearts of the people of Meninia. However, all this was brought by the man in front of him. He naturally had to express his gratitude. Okay, Lauka, if you have anything to say, just say it quickly, I still have things to do. Su Wei couldn't stand Cadman's enthusiasm and hurriedly urged him. It was a coincidence. This was the last time Su Wei came to collect the supplies stored in Xinghu weapons before the new year. As a result, it happened to be the delivery of the order of the Meninian government army. The officer who came to pick up the goods saw Su Wei and told Cadman about it. Cadman immediately called Su Wei and asked him to go to Mugaza. Su Wei didn't think much about it and agreed. Anyway, he was going to find Fengzuli, so it was on the way. Brother Paro, I'm getting married, I hope you can stay and attend our wedding. When talking about things, Cadman actually became a little shy. An old man, hesitating, couldn't help but make Su Wei laugh. Getting married, what a good thing. Oh, by the way, who is the woman? Why have I never heard you say that? Su Wei couldn't help but ignite the fire of gossip in his heart. Cadman is now the president of Meninia, what kind of woman will marry him? You know her too. Cadman's dark old face couldn't help but blush. No, it's red and black, red and black. I know her too, from Daksha. Su Wei couldn't help but be stunned. Aren't all the people he knows from Daksha? No, it's Sanjaya. Cadman shook his head quickly. How could he marry a woman from Daksha? Sanjaya, oh. It's her, I would have almost forgotten if you hadn't told me. I was wondering why I rarely see her. It turns out you've hidden her, great. Hearing the name, Su Wei suddenly realized. In order to avenge her family, Sanjaya resolutely joined Cadman's camp and performed well in the battle against Mugaza. After the establishment of the new government of Meninia, she became one of Cadman's guards and killed assassins several times. She is a true heroine. I didn't expect the two of them to be together. Is this the further sublimation of revolutionary friendship? Interesting. It's just so. Cadman was influenced by Su Wei, and the flavor of Daksha became stronger and stronger. Okay, I wish you a happy marriage in advance. When will you do it? Su Wei laughed when he heard it. Although this old man may be a bit of an old cow eating young grass, Cadman once saved Sanjaya, and then Sanjaya also saved his life. The two can be regarded as friends of life and death. After a long time, They fell in love with each other, and it can be regarded as a natural match made in heaven. So, you agree? Cadman was surprised when he heard it. That's a must, Su Wei nodded and said. In this way, Sanjia is still half of his apprentice. There is no reason not to attend. The wedding will be held the day after tomorrow. I called you 2 days ago, but I couldn't get through. It's alright now, it's alright. Cadman was so happy that he was a little incoherent. Maybe this is fate. Su Wei could only smile and nod. It is estimated that he went to the wasteland, so he couldn't get through. So Su Wei stayed in Mugaza. Of course, he didn't stay in the presidential palace, because he had to meet Feng Zuli. It's more convenient to live outside. As for safety issues, there is no need to worry. After leaving the presidential palace, Paro disappeared silently. The phantom demon can change his appearance silently, then go into the alley, change clothes, and everything will be done. Afterwards, Su Wei, who changed his appearance and clothes, went straight to the courtyard purchased by Feng Zuli. It can be said that when Su Wei hid, no one in the world could dig Su Wei out. Not long after Su Wei entered the courtyard, Feng Zuli rushed back after hearing the sound. She had already given Su Wei the spare key of the courtyard for convenience. Needless to say, a short separation is better than a new marriage, and the earth shakes again. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 459 Dinghe Shenzhen. In Mugaxia, Feng Zuli stayed in the courtyard for 2 days. He also attended Cadman's wedding and celebrated for 3 days. As the commander of Xinghu Weapon and Cadman's sworn brother, Paro was naturally loved and supported by the people of Manenia. Although Cadman was the president in public, some people still knew it. The reason why Manenia could rise so quickly was entirely due to the credit of Xinghu Weapon. Therefore, Paro's position in Cadman's heart is absolutely supreme. In comparison, Paro's deterrence is even higher than Cadman. However, if you see through it but don't say it, everyone can have fun, right? So everyone took this opportunity to get close to Paro and seemed to be having fun. During this period, officials from the U.S. Embassy in Manenia also wanted to meet with Paro specifically. Unfortunately, they all refused on the grounds of being busy with official business. So they specially kept an eye on Paro, hoping to gain something. Unfortunately, professionals still have nothing to lose in front of Su Wei, who has ever-changing abilities. As soon as the wedding was over, Paro disappeared mysteriously. No one even knew when he left. This made everyone feel sorry and more awed by him. The United States' desire to get close to Paro could only end in vain. However, the United States was determined to get Paro. Because the Jasajaya incident has become an eternal pain in the heart of the U.S. Navy. The outside world may not know the truth of the incident, but the major countries have their own satellites, which must not escape their eyes. This can be seen from the businessmen who have flocked to Manenia to invest. Most of them came on behalf of their own country's interests. Therefore, if the culprit Paro cannot be eliminated, the shame imprinted on the U.S. Navy will never disappear. As a result, Paro's current worth has surpassed Su Wei and has become the priority target of the United States. Unfortunately, Paro has always been very mysterious. He will only appear when he wants to appear. He is not seen at all at other times. Even if his ancestors are checked, no one knows his existence. This makes the United States very blind. While the United States was struggling to find Paro, Su Wei had already used the identity of Lao Lang and returned to Daxia Flower City on a private plane. If you want to track me down, wait another 500 years. Originally, Su Wei planned to bring Feng Zuli back for the new year. But the latter disagreed. In Daxia, she has no relatives, and her only friend is Xia Wei. In the current situation, she has not made up her mind, so she will stay in Manenia for the time being. Anyway, she has gotten used to her current life. Su Wei did not force it, as long as she is happy. Isn't it? Time flies. In the blink of an eye, it is the end of the year. The originally bustling flower city has become deserted. People either rush back to their hometowns for the new year, or take their families out for a trip, or drive their own cars to the surrounding areas to see the scenery. It has been a busy year, it's time to take a break and spend time with family. Ziwei Industrial Park was closed 3 days in advance. Except for the necessary security personnel who need to stay, it is empty like a ghost town. Su Wei is very generous to the employees who stay behind, with various New Year gift packages and various bonus red envelopes. In short, employees should feel full of happiness and a strong New Year atmosphere in the company. The troops and Hanlong soldiers stationed on site do not have vacations, but they will take turns on duty. Naturally, Su Wei does not need to worry about these, Long Zhenai will arrange them properly. After the last attack, Daxia attached great importance to this. Not only did it increase the number of garrisons, but it also sent more Zhenlong personnel. What's more exaggerated is that even the air defense soldiers have been stationed in the park to prevent the enemy's gaps. After all, Zhui Electronics has become Daxia's national heavy weapon. It has become a nail in the eyes of the enemy country and a thorn in the flesh. It's not happy if it doesn't come out. We have to beware of the enemy's lose-lose style of play. This reminded Su Wei. Taking advantage of the holiday break, a smart computer host, codenamed Zhui Main Brain, was quietly installed in the park, Zhui Security's headquarters. It is used to manage the defense system of the entire industrial park. Yes, Su Wei quietly copied a set of Xinghu's defense system. Of course, those conspicuous close defense guns and electromagnetic rail guns are excluded. It is mainly the Swift multifunction missile system, and several sets of swarm have been modified and installed. It forms a three-dimensional all-round coverage defense system. Of course, the Kunpeng known as the Dinghe Shenzhen is indispensable. It's just that some troubles were encountered when installing Kunpeng. And its size is much larger, and there is no suitable place to install it. Su Wei directly dug underground at the Zhui security headquarters to build a launch silo. Anyway, there are engineering robots for one-click construction, and the excavated mud is thrown into the space by him. It is simply seamless and unnoticeable. It only took half a day to get it done. There are a total of 4 launch silos, located in the 4 corners of the Zhui security headquarters building. At the same time, each launch silo also has an ammunition warehouse, and each ammunition warehouse stores 5 Kunpengs. A total of 20, equipped with a hydrogen metal core explosive warhead. It is no exaggeration to say that it is enough to destroy a medium or large country. With a shunting system, even if Su Wei wants to launch the Kunpeng now, Daxia's air defense system cannot effectively intercept it. This gives Su Wei another trump card in his hand. Of course, this matter has been included in the top secret of Zhui security, and only a few core members know that their duty is to protect these facilities from being discovered by outsiders. As for control, Su Wei can control it at will through the smart bracelet. This is the last trump card of Zhui Industrial Park, and it will not be activated unless it is absolutely necessary. Although it has been installed, Su Wei hopes that it will never be used. After doing this, it is the 29th day of the 12th lunar month. Xia Wei flew back to Beijing 3 days ago to accompany her family. He Shuang returned to the Magic City with Grandpa He 2 days ago. After all, their roots are still there. It's the new year, so go back and take a look. As for Li Xiaoman, she just left with her mother yesterday. She said she wanted to go on a self-driving tour. This was also her mother's dream, and now she had the time and ability to help her mother realize her dream. Of course, Su Wei sent someone to follow secretly to avoid any accidents. Fortunately, it was just around the province, so there was no big problem. Young Shujian is now deserted. Only Su Wei and Chen Long were left. Su Wei put away 2 pieces of clothing, picked up a bag casually, and walked out of the yard. When he came to the gate, he saw a man wiping the car. Zia Feng, didn't you go home? Su Wei asked in surprise. Zia Hu, I came last night, come to pick you up, Jin Zia Feng replied with a smile. Ha, you kid, Su Wei couldn't help but feel warm in his heart. Let's go. Uncle and the others are probably waiting for you, let's go home. Chapter 460, Celebrating the New Year. The New Year is the most solemn festival in Daxia. From the head of state to the common people, it is all the same, eating big meat, drinking big wine, and the whole family gathers together in harmony. On the morning of New Year's Eve, Su Wei was picked up from the bed by Su's father and went to the market. According to convention, we should take advantage of the last half-day market of the year to prepare all the needs for the new year. Although the chef of Gishiksun prepared a lot of fresh ingredients, Su's father still felt that something was missing and insisted on going to the market. After Jin Zia Feng sent Su Wei home yesterday, he went home by himself. Their village also accepted the project of planting medicinal herbs, and a new house was built at home. This year is also the first time to celebrate the new year in the new house. Therefore, the task of driving naturally fell on Sue. There is no way, who let it be the order of parents? Even if you are the captain of the earth, you have to obey orders. When we arrived at Kingshi Town, there were so many people that we couldn't drive in. We could only find a place to park outside. Then, Sue accompanied his father to the market. It must be said that the New Year atmosphere here is something that you can't feel in big cities. The streets were crowded with guests from all directions, from different villages and villages. The goods in the market were also diverse and dazzling. Many of them were special items that were not seen on weekdays and were only used during the New Year. The happiest ones were the children, holding the toys they had long admired in their arms, the snacks they had longed for in their hands, and the bubble gum they chewed in their mouths. Looking at everything in front of him, Sue couldn't help but recall that when he was a child, he would also go to the market under the leadership of his father. It's just that the conditions at that time were not very good. In addition to necessities, he could only buy a toy he had been looking forward to for a long time. Thinking about it is really nostalgic. It's a pity that time is gone forever. He has grown up and his father has gradually grown old. Remind Sue to cherish the present and the present. At the market, you will naturally meet many acquaintances, from the village, neighboring villages, etc. Once you meet, you will inevitably have a few warm chats and wish each other a better and more prosperous year. Looking at the rosy face of Sue's father, Sue was also happy. Sue, at this time, someone in the crowd shouted, attracting Sue's attention. Hubin. Sue looked and found that it was Hubin who lived in the town. The company was on holiday and he came back 2 days ago. Hello, uncle. Hubin ran over and saw Sue's father was there, so he hurriedly greeted him seriously. Hello, Zyabin, are you here to go to the market too? Sue's father asked with a smile. Haha, yes, I'm here with my parents, Hubin said and pointed to the way he came. There were 2 middle-aged people, a man and a woman, buying vegetables over there. It seemed that they saw Hubin's actions and walked over with a smile. When he learned that Sue was his son's boss, the 2 elders were so polite that they insisted on inviting Sue's father and Sue to their home. In the end, they gave up after Hubin's persuasion. They said goodbye to Hubin and Hu's father and mother. The father and son continued to wander around the market. In the end, they bought a lot of New Year's goods, as well as couplets and other New Year's items. The entire trunk was filled. It was not until noon that Sue's mother called and asked him to go home for dinner. Sue's father was still reluctant to go home with his son. Now the road from the town to the village has been repaired, and it only takes more than half an hour to drive, which is very convenient. Back home, Sue's mother prepared a simple lunch with the help of Sujiano. It's the new year, and the chef of Gishiksun has also been liberated by Sue's mother. You can't let other families miss the new year for your own new year. As for Mr. Sue and Grandma Wuyu, the 2 are now in pairs, inseparable, as if they want to make up for all the decades of separation. It's simply evil. After lunch, Sue suddenly felt depressed because Sue's father had assigned him a task. That was to paste up couplets, paste window decorations, and hang lanterns. I went and there were a total of 10 to 20 doors, including the main door, and even more windows, with dozens of windows inside and outside. Add to that the lanterns that needed to be hung in the living room, corridor, and yard. This was a big project. I should have left 2 people here earlier. For the first time, Sue felt the disadvantages of a big house. But what else could he do? Get to work. It took him 3 hours to finish what Sue's father had told him to do. But before he could sit down and rest, Sue went into the kitchen again. Sue's father and mother were busy inside, so were you embarrassed to rest? It seemed that only the little princess Sujiao had nothing to do, posing everywhere with her mobile phone. In the name of recording a good life? As a memory for the future. During this period, she also sent photos of Sue's work to Xiaowei and other girls, and naturally gained a lot of joy. Well, let her do it. Time came to the evening. After a busy day, everyone finally stopped and sat around a table, ready to enjoy the special New Year's Eve dinner. This is of great significance to the old Su family. First, it is the return of Grandma Wuyu that finally makes the Su family reunited in the true sense. Secondly, it is the joy of moving to a new house. Third, Su has achieved success and fame, which makes the old Su family glorious. The only regret is that he has not been able to hold his great-grandson. The elders of the Su family know this very well. It is not that there is no opportunity, but that there are too many opportunities, but they don't know how to choose. It is not easy to urge Su Wei, so they can only remind Su Wei with hints between the lines. This makes Su Wei very embarrassed. But he has no choice. After finally waiting until the end of the meal, the inevitable link began, watching the Spring Festival Gala. This made Su Wei feel like he had escaped a disaster. At this time, Su Wei's phone rang one after another, either blessing messages or New Year's greetings. It made Su Wei very busy. It was not until the clock struck 12 that the greetings gradually decreased. Only then did Su Wei have time to call the girls. Staying up all night is a tradition in Daxia, so naturally they won't go to bed early. Xia Wei, like him, was watching the Spring Festival Gala with her family, but they were not in front of the TV, but on the spot, feeling a different flavor of the new year. He Shuang and her family went to a private restaurant, and they haven't finished eating yet. Today, Donglei International, backed by Ziwei Group, has become the largest chip manufacturer in Daxia, and people flock to it because of its reputation. It is more glorious than before. Li Xiaoman and her mother went to a local town to feel the taste of the new year. At this time, they were in the big square of the town, watching the ethnic minorities singing and dancing and celebrating the Spring Festival. Anyway, they had a lot of fun. Finally, Su Wei wanted to call Feng Zuli, but considering the time difference, he gave up. Chapter 461: A New Beginning. Time flies, and the Lantern Festival is here in a blink of an eye. Originally, Xia Wei was going to come to see Su Wei, but she couldn't come because of something. Su Wei has been staying in his hometown. In addition to going to the wasteland world to take a look, he helps at home. What I want to say here is that the wasteland world also ushered in the Spring Festival, but the catastrophe changed the status of mankind, which greatly weakened their concept of the Spring Festival. Because under the extremely difficult conditions of survival, celebrating the new year is completely an illusory luxury idea. However, this year is an exception. At least in Phaeton and its jurisdiction, there are sufficient supplies. Celebrating the new year is no longer an illusory dream, but something that can be truly implemented. Su Wei naturally attaches great importance to the first Spring Festival after the recovery, and asked Song Dan to prepare it according to the best specifications. Let every citizen of Phaeton feel the breath of paradise. After drawing the pie for so long, at least let people smell the fragrance of the pie. For Su Wei, it's just a loss of more supplies. Those things, in the modern world, are not worth much money at all. With Su Wei's current worth, there is no need to worry at all, it's all drizzle. But for the people in the wasteland world, it was completely different. This was the first time they had celebrated a new year in the past 10 years since the disaster. And it was not a spiritual new year, but a double new year in spirit and material. 10 years this time is long enough for many people to forget the past, as if it was a few centuries ago. As the dusty memories were opened, more and more survivors cried. The unspeakable sadness and helplessness broke out at this moment and infected more people. Fortunately, Su Wei did not participate, otherwise he would not know how to deal with himself. However, it was a big happy event after all. After the commemoration, people began to move from grief to joy. The celebration lasted for 3 days and 3 nights in the base. A large number of people were gained. This undoubtedly made more people support Phaeton and more loyal. They paid more attention to the tasks assigned by the base and worked hard. The development speed of the base was greatly increased. Sure enough, spiritual construction is more important. The future is promising. After the 15th day of the first lunar month, the new year of Daxia was truly over. Especially for grassroots employees, only at this time will they start packing and preparing for a one-year outing. Su Wei's family also returned to Hudu City at this time. They started a new life in the new year. Xia Wei and others came back early. The company's management naturally cannot wait until the workers arrive at the factory before going to work. There are still many preparations to be completed in advance. At least, the plan for the new year and the company's next step need to be formulated in detail at the beginning of the year. In this way, it can be ensured that the company is in order after the start of work. The defense system installed by Su Wei did not arouse anyone's suspicion. In addition, that part was taken care of by the Ziwei security personnel themselves. The Ziwei security wearing power armor sealed it tightly, so naturally no one would know. Except for a few core members. They all thought they were guarding the brand new host. Because Su Wei told them that it was the new core database of Ziwei Group, and it must be foolproof. In view of the fact that the core database of Ziwei Electronic Laboratory was stolen last time, everyone believed his words. He Shuang started the mode of flying all over the country again. As He Shuang quickly became popular, Angel Studio has developed into a leading large-scale entertainment company in China. The scale has expanded dozens of times compared to when it was first established. Now the Century Building has rented 2 floors to accommodate it. He Shuang's reputation is even more well-known, and she has become a new generation of music queen. One person supports an entertainment company. Her songs, like her, are as beautiful as an angel. It has even begun to affect overseas. Many overseas fans are petitioning on the official website, hoping that Angel Studio can hold the concert overseas. However, she has a special relationship with Su Wei. In order to ensure her personal safety, she is basically banned from performing abroad. This may be the only star who has received this treatment. But this has not been criticized by people, but has made her peers in the entertainment industry envious. This is a rare honor. Not only is she very popular, but she also only does what she likes. She directly ignores any unspoken rules. Because of the man behind her, no one dares to pay attention to her, He Xianqi, and she has to be worshipped wherever she goes. Otherwise, the Luan family in Beijing and the Liu family in Guangchang are the best examples. In short, He Shuang has become a different kind of clean stream in the entertainment industry. However, she did not make a lot of money for this, and she still sang just for the sake of love. The endorsements she took were basically all from Ziwei Group and its extended brands, and the activities she participated in were mostly public welfare publicity. She is full of positive energy, and it is impossible not to be a fan of her. In her words, she only wanted to sing for her mother before, but now she wants to sing love to the world. As long as everyone gives a little love, the world will become a better tomorrow because of Bajiman. Mr. Su has to take his wife Wu Yu, as well as Su's father and mother, to Beijing from time to time. For this reason, Su Wei specially customized a private jet for them. It is more convenient to go back and forth. As for him, the inspector, he can only say that he will go when he is free. It is worth mentioning here that under the cultivation of strengthening potions and energy potions, Bajiman has greatly increased its strength and has become the leader of Yonghang Palace. This undoubtedly further integrated the relationship between Yonghang Palace and Zhanlong. This made Long Zhanyu laugh even when he was asleep. Because in this way, he could poach people with a legitimate reason. Let a lot of fresh blood be added to Zhanlong. Of course, he also had the strengthening potions and energy potions given by Su Wei to continuously upgrade and strengthen Zhanlong's soldiers. Now, the newly established Zhanlong has reached 300 or 400 people, becoming another ace force in his hands. In the fight against overseas alien organizations, he has more confidence. At the same time, Daksha once again added orders for HX-1 power armor. At the same time, he took a fancy to the 3 major types of weapons equipped by the Xinghu army during the First World War in Zidane. They are the super-powered electromagnetic sniper rifle of the Fierce Ghost, the electromagnetic rifle of the Assaulter, and the Swarm of the Sweeper. I hope to order some to prepare the Zhanlong Brigade. In this regard, Su Wei directly made a decision and approved it. In addition to the super-powered electromagnetic sniper rifle, the rest will come in 100 sets each. Anyway, Zhanlong is also serving him, and it is also good for him to enhance the strength of Zhanlong. Chapter 462 Steel Body Potion. The winter vacation is finally over. Thankfully, Su Wei sent his sister Su Jiao back to Huatou University. Not a single moment was wasted. These days, he was almost annoyed to death by this living ancestor. Grandpa Su took Wu Yu, as well as Su's father and mother, to Bajiman, and their return date is uncertain. Xiaowei and Li Xiaoman are busy with company matters and have no time to care about him. He Shuang flew out of town, and Grandpa he stayed in Shanghai temporarily and has not returned yet. The most important thing is that Fan Kiao, his sister's best friend, is still working part-time and has no time or energy to take care of her. So, she had no choice but to go and cause trouble for her brother. These 10 days and a half months have exhausted Su Wei. It's mainly because this guy is bored and can do anything. If it weren't for a skill, Su Wei would have no idea how many times he would have been tricked by this ghost. No. I have to find something for this guy to do during the next vacation. Otherwise, I won't be able to do anything. Thinking this, Su Wei drove to Jinxi's garden, parked the car, and went upstairs. After locking the door, he activated the ring to teleport to the wasteland world. He drove his big car to the Phaeton base. From a distance, the guard saluted Su Wei's car, staring with eyes and emitting a reverent light. Entering the base, Su Wei suddenly felt an unprecedented sense of prosperity. The entire Phaeton base was cleaned up. It seems that after the baptism of the Spring Festival, the survivor's dream of a paradise has become more determined. This is good. Su Wei drove the car to the warehouse, and then, as usual, inspected all departments. Good news came one after another. First of all, the preparation work for the Black Phoenix No. 2 has reached 80%, that is, the main structure has been basically completed. The rest is the system and various installations. According to the current progress, it is expected that only 2 or 3 months will be enough for the Black Phoenix No. 2 to enter the testing phase. By then, the Phaeton will have another killer weapon. Secondly, the production of power armor is also growing, making the equipment rate of the Phaeton army reach an astonishing 90%. In other words, the Phaeton army now has nearly 20,000 super soldiers. And the number is still increasing. This is great. You know, super soldiers can fight 10 enemies at once. Thirdly, the crops of the Ministry of Agriculture have once again achieved a bumper harvest. At present, the food stored in the Phaeton granary is enough for Phaeton, Longhu, Fengchao, and Iron Forge to use for half a year. Fresh vegetables are constantly available. Now, the Ministry of Agriculture has joined forces with the Ministry of Medicine to enter the breeding industry. Find species that are not too mutated and bring them back for breeding. Use special drugs to eliminate the pollution on them and change their mutated parts. I hope to restore the species before the disaster. Even if it can't, at least remove the harmful substances in their bodies. In this way, you can get a safe source of meat, and no longer rely on canned food and bacon. When the survivors eat the fresh meat they raise, their sense of happiness will definitely soar. Fourthly, that is, Qin Lao has made a breakthrough. Last time, based on the autopsy of Hawk Eurus's body, Qin Lao thought of a new topic, which is to use drugs to dissolve metals and inject them into the organism to achieve the purpose of strengthening. He really made it. In the laboratory, Su Wei saw a small mutant mouse with a metallic luster all over its body. It originally had no metal ability, but after Qin Lao continuously injected metal drugs, the skin and bones of its body underwent earth-shaking changes. Now, if you hit it with a hammer, it will make a metal collision sound. And after Qin Lao's calculation, this drug can also achieve the same effect when used on the human body. Oh my! Qin Lao actually created an artificial ability, copper skin and iron bones. Awesome! The only flaw is that it doesn't look good, it looks like a little golden man. However, Qin Lao said that it can be considered that the dosage can be controlled to achieve the purpose of strengthening the body without showing a metallic luster like the experimental mouse. The reason why the mutant mouse became like that is because the drug was used too much. Qin Lao wanted to see where the limit of the drug is. If used normally, it will at most reach the point of bronze. Sacrificing a little skin color to gain a superpower, isn't it a good deal? Besides, isn't there a widening potion? As long as you take it continuously at the same time, you can keep your skin color unchanged. Very nice. Of course, this is only for women. So, Su Wei waved his hand and approved Qin Lao's human experiment. First, recruit volunteers from the Special Operations Team for testing. Science. There must always be someone who dares to try it first, right? Su Wei also named this potion Steel Body. Once the test is successful, it will be promoted at the grassroots level of the army. Because the body's strength of advanced evolvers or awakeners is already strong enough, the effect of using Steel Body potion is minimal. But for enhancers and low-level evolvers, it is a good supplement to further strengthen the body. Just think about it, how much fear can a large group of soldiers with copper skin and iron bones rushing on the battlefield bring to the enemy? That picture is so exciting. This made Su Wei suddenly feel like a spring breeze. Strengthening potions, energy potions and steel potions, this is definitely to create a physical super soldier. If you add power armor, the combat power of the Phaeton army can be said to be off the charts. This is in line with Su Wei's philosophy. Soldiers are more valuable than quantity. Don't panic, there is another big happy thing. That is the considerable amount of blue chen gold extracted from Hawk Eurus. Not only did he fully upgrade Su Wei's exclusive power armor, but he also had some left over to make 2 guardian shields. After testing, even if he was bombarded at close range with a super-energy electromagnetic cannon, it would not cause any damage. An absolute defensive artifact. Add Bojun, and Su Wei will have a complete set of offensive and defensive divine equipment. In the mechanical department, Su Wei saw the upgraded power armor and 2 door-sized guardian shields. Because of the addition of blue Chen gold, the armor and the shield are both light blue. At first glance, it is a complete set with Bojun. Invisibly, there is an indestructible aura. Su Wei couldn't let it go, so he put on the armor and waved the shield with both hands. The weight of the guardian shield was not light, and after adding blue Chen gold, the weight increased dramatically. But this weight was nothing to Su Wei. With a blessing of weight, the damage of shield strikes is even more not to be underestimated. It can achieve true attack and defense integration. In order to facilitate distinction, Su Wei named the shield with blue Chen gold, added the blue Chen great shield, which became one of his exclusive weapons. The exclusive power armor was named Xiaolong. Chapter 463, Conquering Demon Realm Again. Coming out of the mechanical department, Su Wei's confidence was extremely high. He went straight to the Armed Forces department. The Ice and Fire twins were out begging for money, so Wang Boing was in charge of the Armed Forces department. His main task at present is to train soldiers and maintain the safety of the Phaeton base. Boss, Wang Boing came over when he saw Su Wei. How is the situation? Su Wei looked at the soldiers sweating on the playground and asked Wang Boing, who is walking over. Boss, after the Spring Festival, we recruited a group of new soldiers. This time everyone's enthusiasm is unprecedentedly high. I think the Phaeton army will soon reach 30,000 people, Wang Boing said with satisfaction. Thanks to the continuous capture of survivors from the demon realm, most of the labor force of the Phaeton base was replaced and joined the armed personnel. And those captives, after a period of labor, will definitely fall in love with the Phaeton without any surprise. They can be added to the ranks of combatants. Under such a virtuous cycle, the Phaeton's armament will continue to grow. However, this is not enough. Old Wang, give me 5,000 soldiers. Su Wei suddenly said this. Boss, what are you going to do? Wang Boing was confused. I want to conquer the demon realm again, Su Wei said firmly. Although the defeat of the demon realm is only a matter of time under the current situation. But Su Wei prefers to use simple and rough methods to make the demon realm surrender. It is unknown when the Blood Fortress will attack, so it is the best choice to first solve the demon realm. Yes, boss, Wang Boing's eyes lit up when he heard it. Obviously, he also agreed with Su Wei's decision. It is safer to defeat the demon realm first than to fight on 2 fronts. Woo woo woo, the sound of the assembly call immediately sounded above the armed forces. All the armed personnel on the playground, in the barracks, and in the hangar ran to the designated location to assemble after hearing the order. In less than half a quarter of an hour, more than 10,000 people gathered on the playground. Wang Boing loudly announced Su Wei's decision. Hearing that there was another battle, the soldiers showed an extremely excited look, looking at the boss Su Wei on the rostrum with shining eyes. They hoped that the boss would select them to participate in the battle. Unlike others, because in Phaeton, fighting is equal to harvest, fighting is equal to development, fighting is equal to making achievements. More importantly, every expansion means that Phaeton is one step closer to the paradise. This is the driving force for the survivors to work hard. Looking at the soldiers with boiling blood, Su Wei nodded with great satisfaction. Without saying much nonsense, he directly selected 5,000 soldiers and set off immediately. The soldiers who were selected naturally ran to the hangar with joy and put on power armor. The soldiers who were not selected were a little depressed, looking at the soldiers who were selected with envy. However, they were soon provoked by Wang Boing's few words and screamed. They ran around the playground, shouting and whistling, and sweating profusely. A special way to say goodbye to the comrades who are going to the battlefield. It seems to be saying, don't be so proud, I'll make you suffer the consequences next time. Soon, 5,000 super soldiers were fully assembled, including scouts and special forces. Su Wei also put on his own exclusive power armor Xiaolong, carrying the lantern shield on his back, holding the broken army in his hand, and rushed into the air first. In order to offset the extra weight brought by the lantern gold, Feng Yunzi optimized the energy core of Xiaolong, making it more powerful, and a light blue shadow passed through the sky. Buzz buzz buzz. The 5,000 super soldiers on the playground also started the thrusters and flew into the air. Under the leadership of Sui, they flew to the Phoenix Nest base. There were also 8,000 super soldiers who had gone out before, plus the strategic materials stockpiled to prevent the counterattack of the demon realm, which were enough to support the consumption of this war. When Sui led his men to drive down the Phoenix Nest base, the soldiers there were already ready to go. Before Sui and his men set out, they received the information here, so they were naturally prepared early in the morning. However, the leader was not Zhangling or Yuna, but Wei Jun. The two ministers went out to have fun, and handed over the command of the base to him. With those mysterious hidden wolf cavalry, they, the scouts, can go home for the new year. Thinking of this, Wei Jun was furious. He felt that his iron rice bowl had been taken away. Boss, Wei Jun saw Sui and immediately looked angry. What's the matter? What's this? Sui was stunned, and then put down his armor and asked, Boss, you should transfer me to the special operations team. I can't do this as a scout, Wei Jun immediately complained. Haha, what? You're defeated just like that? Are you so cowardly? Sui couldn't help but joked. No, boss, we are not thinking about the reasonable allocation of resources. Wei Jun felt something was wrong when he heard it, and hurriedly said in a mean way. Go to hell, show some spirit, if you want to fight, there are plenty, don't think of these crazy ideas anymore. Sui slapped Wei Jun and scolded him with a smile. Yes, boss. Wei Jun stood at attention and saluted. By the way, where are Minister Zhang and Minister Yu? Sui glanced at the whole place and asked when he didn't see them. Report, boss. Minister Zhang and Minister Yu went out yesterday and didn't come back. They are probably still collecting money in the demon realm, Wei Jun replied quickly. They are having a blast. Oh, never mind. Notify them and set off, Sui said as he put down his armor and flew into the air. Yes, boss. Wei Jun waved his hand back, and the 5,000 super soldiers who had assembled, together with the 5,000 super soldiers that came from Phaeton, took off and flew towards the demon realm. There were also 3,000 super soldiers who were left to guard the Phoenix Nest base, and at the same time, a part of the material transport team was heading from the ground, so the speed would be slower. The distance from Fengchao to Demon Realm was paved by Zhangling, Yuna, and Ma Xiaoyu. Following the traces, they soon entered the territory of Demon Realm. When passing by Yongning Town, they also met a small group of Phaeton expeditionary force. This deserted town, which was originally set as a base, has now become a place for the Phaeton expeditionary force to rest. They are Yuna's men, escorting hundreds of Demon Realm survivors and preparing to return to Fengchao base. When they heard that the boss was leading the team to conquer Demon Realm again, the small group of Phaeton army was immediately excited. They didn't even want the hundreds of prisoners and followed Sui's large army. Hundreds of Demon Realm survivors looked around with wide eyes, not knowing what was going on. Oh my! Where is the big white rice that the eldest brother promised to give them? Hundreds of Demon Realm survivors didn't know where to go, and were left alone in the wind. In the end, these people actually walked towards the direction of Fengchao base by themselves. Chapter 464, Demon King Palace. Under the leadership of the team, Sui and his team quickly found Yuna. This girl was ambushing outside the ruins of a factory, waiting for the survivors who came to search. It was not until the Phaeton expeditionary force approached that she discovered Sui's arrival. The little girl was naturally overjoyed, and regardless of the others, she jumped directly into Sui's arms and hung on. The two sets of power armor touched each other, making a hard metal collision sound. But despite this, the two could still feel each other's warmth. Xiona, do you know where Zhangling is? Sui took Yuna off his neck with great difficulty and asked hurriedly. Sister Xiaoling should be active in the North District, Yuna said, raising her hand to call up an electronic map with 3 circles of different colors on it. The east is red, representing Yuna's hunting range. The west is silver, representing Ma Xiaoyu's hunting range. The North District is blue, representing Zhangling's hunting range. As Yuna introduced it, Sui's eyelids jumped. Oh my! What do you mean by arrogant? This is wow. In someone else's territory, they actually divided the area for hunting. Have you 3 considered the feelings of the Demon King of the Demon Realm? Brother, shall we go find Sister Xiaoling first? After the introduction, Yuna looked at Sui expectantly and asked. Oh, cough, no, just send someone to the West and North Districts to inform them. We will march straight into the demon realm. Su Wei looked at the sky and said. He wanted to spend the night in the demon city tonight. Oh my. What do you mean by more arrogant? This is wow. Yes, listen to my brother. Yuna heard the words, and her two big eyes narrowed into a line of smile. While talking, the people led by Yuna were incorporated into the army, and then they headed straight to the core area of the demon realm. 10,000 soldiers wearing HT-1 power armor flew at low altitude, a large black mass, like a dark cloud, implying a thunderous momentum. Wherever it passed, it blocked out the sun and the sky. It felt like a plague of locusts. Especially the buzzing sound of more than 10,000 thrusters, like the flapping wings of locusts covering the sky. The survivors nearby were so scared that their faces turned green. They only dared to look from a distance and quickly fled. Where have you seen such a scene? I wanted to run away, but I only wished that my parents had not given me a few more legs. A few hours later, a soldier riding a mutant wolf dog ran into the Demon King city in great fear. This is a castle-like building, which is made of large pieces of natural rocks, and at the same time, huge log armor is added. Yes, it is the kind that Su Wei has seen in Kixing Palace, a brand new material generated by changing the properties of wood with special chemicals. After soaking and changing the properties, thick logs are fixed one by one on the rock wall. This is the so-called log armor. The average diameter of the logs is an astonishing 2 meters. You know, the front armor of the main battle tank in modern times is only 800 millimeters, which is only 0.8 meters in conversion. And this log armor reaches a terrifying 2 meters. These woods that have been improved by chemicals are as hard as iron and fireproof. Even if they are not as good as new alloys, they are much stronger than ordinary steel. The thickness of 2 meters is enough to resist the attack of missiles. No wonder the forests in the demon realm have been destroyed. It turns out that they were all used to build castles. This makes the architecture of the demon realm form a unique style. It is full of primitive and mysterious atmosphere. Report, the soldier riding the big wolf dog also carried 3 red flags on his back, which fluttered as he ran. When the guards along the way saw it, they all avoided it and opened the gate in advance to let him in. Because this is the red flag corps under the Demon King of the Demon Realm, which is responsible for the monitoring work within the demon realm. Carrying a red flag is ordinary military information. Carrying 2 red flags is urgent military information. Carrying 3 red flags is extremely urgent, and you can go directly to the Demon King's palace. Now, there are 3 red flags, which means that the situation has reached an extremely urgent point. Who dares to stop it? Report. The rider ran all the way and ran directly to the central palace of the Demon King's capital. This is the Demon King's palace, which is made entirely of modified wood. Carved beams and painted buildings, layer upon layer. However, the carved patterns are full of weird styles. It makes people feel eerie and terrifying. This may be the reason why it is called the Demon Realm. The knight came to the steps of the Demon King's palace, jumped off his mount like a fly, and then used his hands and feet to quickly climb hundreds of steps. It took less than a minute to climb to the top. There is a luxurious palace here, which is the real Demon King's palace. Report, my king, an urgent report from 100 miles away. The rider knelt down at the door of the hall panting and shouted hoarsely. With a hoarse voice, the rider was obviously at his limit. Bring him in, a sharp but feminine voice came from the hall. It was like a sharp object rubbing against glass, which made people shudder. Soon, 2 tall men wearing dark green metal armor and demon masks came out. One on the left and one on the right. They carried the rider and walked back to the hall. They were the feared guards of the Demon King's hall in the demon realm, the demon warriors. They were the winners of each bravery championship, the real kings of soldiers. Each of them had unique skills and outstanding strength. After arriving at the Demon King's hall, they would receive personal guidance and training from the Demon King, and their strength would improve by leaps and bounds. It is rumored that the strength of each of these demon warriors is infinitely close to the 4 great demon generals. No, there are only 2 left now. But each of them is loyal to the Demon King and is the most powerful force in the hands of the Demon King of the Demon Realm. No one knows how the Demon King trained them, but their strength is indeed not to be underestimated. To be able to stand firm in this land of the survival of the fittest, the Demon King relies on these demon warriors to a large extent. Walking into the Demon King Hall, it is as if you have entered another space. The hall is illuminated by torches, which illuminate the hall brightly, but the fire is a bit strange. The flame is not the common yellow-red, but the rare pale green, which casts a layer of miserable and gloomy tones on the hall. It is like hell on earth. Rows of demon warriors dressed in the same way stand on both sides, with a number of up to 100 people. There are 4 tall stone chairs on both sides of the aisle, corresponding to the 4 demon generals. Unfortunately, only the remaining 2 demon generals are sitting on them at this moment. On it is the huge throne of the demon king of the demon realm. At this moment, there is a person sitting on it. Wearing a crown, a demon mask, and a dark green cloth robe. There is no skin on his body, and even his hands are wrapped tightly with lighter dark green cloth strips. He is the demon king of the demon realm. Chapter 465, War Begins. Why are you panicking? The unique voice of the demon king of the demon realm sounded, echoing in the empty hall, and it seemed even more eerie and terrifying. My king, the Phaeton army is coming, the rider struggled to kneel and said with difficulty. Who is it, Wolf Girl Mazianwu, Ice Queen Zhangling, or the Flame Girl Yuna? After hearing the report, the demon king asked calmly. Mazianwu was called the Wolf Girl by the people of the demon realm because she was in charge of the hidden wolf army. Zhangling was called the Ice Queen by the people of the demon realm because she was beautiful and cold as ice. As for Yuna, she was called the Flame Girl by the people of the demon realm because she was eccentric. The people of the demon realm were extremely troubled by these 3 women. But they couldn't do anything about them. They had a strong foundation and sufficient supplies, but they could do whatever they wanted. No, none of them, the writer replied quickly. Oh, who is that? The demon king asked in confusion. It's Sui, the boss of Phaeton. He personally led more than 10,000 power-armored soldiers to attack. They have destroyed the outer defense line and are heading straight for the demon king's capital, the writer continued to explain. What? More than 10,000? Power-armored soldiers? The demon king's voice was full of shock. At first, I thought it was just a small-scale battle, but I didn't expect the other party to launch a general attack directly. Yes, my king, the writer answered very confidently. Where are we now? The demon king stood up in surprise. At this time, you will find that the demon king's limbs are extremely slender, and his body is as thin as a bamboo pole. The clothes slide, and you can see that the neck is also wrapped with light green cloth strips. It seems that the whole person is wrapped like a mummy. Queasing Palace. We have already reached Kixing Palace, the writer said, sweating all over. The pressure of the 8-star revolver is too strong, especially when the demon king is angry. The whole hall will be crushed by it. HMPH, go down. The demon king suddenly swallowed everything and waved his hand to let the writer retreat. Yes, my king, the writer retreated as if he had been pardoned. It was common for the demon king to get angry and people to fall to the ground. Therefore, the writer was extremely grateful that he could escape this time. My king, that Phaeton base is really too much. Let's fight him. A demon general stood up angrily and said. He was the 3rd demon general Kajin Fei. Now, Kixing Palace has been assigned to his name and is under his management. That's right, my king, let's fight him. The 4th demon general Guz Hangchang also stood up. Mazianwu and the other 3 women have been causing trouble in the demon realm for so long, and they have been holding back their anger for a long time. The key is that they have no place to vent their anger. Because they can't catch up with the 3 women at all. They are often dragged down and exhausted, and they have nothing to gain. Now that they hear that the other party has taken the initiative to come to the door, they suddenly feel that it is time for revenge. I didn't realize what the concept of 10,000 power-armored soldiers is. How powerful will they be? This is not surprising. These people are not soldiers and have not undergone systematic training. The only concept is that the strong are respected. After the catastrophe, they suddenly gained powerful strength and relied on their big fists to sit in the current position of the demon general. This further established a concept of the survival of the fittest. They have never had a direct confrontation with the power-armored soldiers. The guerrilla tactics of the 3 women gave them the impression that the power-armored soldiers were just highly mobile. That's all. The last time they failed, more than 20,000 soldiers of the demon realm were captured, which was attributed to the incompetence of Wang Bing and others, and the conspiracy of Phaetons undercover. Now, they are on the land of the demon realm, and in the area close to the core of the demon realm. This is the home court of the demon realm. They still don't believe that with Phaeton's 10,000 power-armored soldiers, they can defeat tens of thousands of soldiers in the demon realm. The demon king of the demon realm fell into an inexplicable silence. What he was thinking was that if he was not sure, how could they come to his door? Are they looking for death? Although he has broken through to 8 stars, he is only 1 step away from the ceiling of 9 stars. But the more this happened, the more he cherished his feathers. My king, there are no demon generals stationed in Kixing Palace at present, and there will be changes if we delay. Besides, what if Phaeton shoots and runs away again? Won't we suffer a great loss? Demon General K. Jinfei saw that the Demon King was lost in thought and couldn't help getting anxious. He also wanted to take this opportunity to perform well and be promoted to the first Demon General. Okay, pass my order and issue the Demon King's order. Demon General K. Jinfei, I will appoint you as the Vanguard General. Go to war. The Demon King of the Demon Realm finally woke up from his meditation and gave the order with a wave of his hand. Yes, my king is wise. Demon General K. Jinfei and Demon General Guz Hengchang hurriedly bowed and agreed, and sang praises. The so-called Demon King's order can be understood as an order for the mobilization of the whole people. It means calling on all the people of the Demon Realm to rise up and fight against a Phaeton army. Woo 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 woo. Soon, the horn of war sounded in the Demon King's palace. The members of the Red Flag Corps, carrying 3 red flags, ran to various places in the Demon King City and outside the Demon King City. They will be responsible for conveying the orders of the Demon King of the Demon Realm to each camp as quickly as possible. For a time, the Demon King City was boiling like boiling water. The army assembled and the people were armed. They rushed to Kixing Palace like a tide. Kixing Palace is a gateway to the east of the Demon King City. Opening this place, you can drive straight into the Demon King City. At this moment, Kixing Palace has sounded the battle horn. Whether it is soldiers or slaves, they have been sent to the front line. Unfortunately, they do not have powerful weapons and it is difficult to cause effective damage to the Phaeton Expeditionary Force. The only thing they can rely on is the city defense artillery. But the firing rate and accuracy of the city defense artillery could not accurately hit the HT-1 power armor with higher mobility. Therefore, the effect is minimal. Facing the wolf-like Phaeton Expeditionary Force, the Kixing Palace site is like a lamb to be slaughtered. Fire. Boom boom boom. With a round of volleys from the sweepers, the bee swarm instantly covered the first and second floors of Kixing Palace. During a war, population issues cannot be considered. Everything depends on victory. With the cover of firepower, the defenders immediately rushed up. The attackers followed closely. When the explosion of the bee swarm stopped, there were almost no enemies who could stand on the first and second floors. It was easy to take it down. The third and fourth floors are military areas, and the city defense construction is also better than the first floor. The attack of the Phaeton Expeditionary Force was temporarily blocked. But it doesn't matter. Without the threat of the defensive artillery on the first and second floors, the sweeper phalanx can continue to press forward. Then, there was another round of volleys. The bee swarm once again covered the third and fourth floors of Kixing Palace. Su Wei had previously explored the firepower layout and personnel situation here. In addition, Kixing Palace was not equipped with large energy devices. Coupled with the fall of the Demon General Gan Xinren, this once glorious fortress became vulnerable in front of the Phaeton Expeditionary Force. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 466, Waiting for the Opportunity. This is an unequal war. The Phaeton Expeditionary Force, using only the powerful firepower of the sweepers, destroyed the defense of the Kixing Palace like a whirlwind. The Guardians and Assaulters only went to occupy the positions. Occasionally, they would capture those who were lucky enough, and those who resisted stubbornly would be executed on the spot. Those who hid in the dark and wanted to shoot from behind would naturally be found by fierce ghosts. Some did not even need to shoot, and the fierce ghosts would hide from behind and cut off their heads with a knife. Even the enhancers could not escape the fate of death. Of course, there were bunkers in the Kixing Palace. Unfortunately, the ground firepower was eliminated too quickly. The soldiers in the bunkers had not had time to fire a few shots before the shooting holes were blocked by the Guardians. The defensive ability of the Guardian's shield was unquestionable, making the bunker silent instantly. Then, the assaulters would blow up the door and go in for a while. After the fight, they were done. Soon, the Phaeton Expeditionary Force attacked the last floor, which was where the Kixing Palace was. The other side did not encounter any decent resistance except for the large number of people. However, the Phaeton expeditionary force was least afraid of large numbers. Just like that. From opening fire to capturing the top floor, it took less than half an hour. Kixing Palace was taken. Su Wei took Yuna to the roof of the main hall of Kixing Palace and overlooked the whole scene. The outline of the Demon King city could be seen from afar. At this time, a cloud of smoke and dust flew all over the sky, coming from the direction of the Demon King city to Kixing Palace. Isn't their reinforcement too slow? Yuna stood beside Su Wei and said dissatisfiedly. The previous battle was nothing but harvesting and harvesting, without any feeling of a big battle. It made her very bored. It felt less interesting than the previous squatting and capturing prisoners. Haha, it's not that they are too slow, but that we are too fast. Su Wei smiled when he heard this. The growth of the Phaeton army was far beyond expectations. Especially when the number reached a certain scale, the combat effectiveness became more and more terrifying. Oh, what's next? Rush up and destroy them, Yuna asked with little interest. I think the result is the same. Without equal technology, no one can resist the continuous attack of the bee swarm. As for high-end combat power such as enhancers. Sorry, all members of the Phaeton army have been enhanced, and the weakest are all above level 6. In addition, the power armor is all new alloy, which is enough to resist 1-star and 2-star evolvers. Let me ask, which force has so many 3-star evolvers? Not hundreds, but tens of thousands. Not to mention the existence of Yuna's level. One can find a nest of existence alone. No, just wait here for them to come. Let's think about it from their perspective. Switch offense and defense and test our army's defensive capabilities, Su Wei said shamelessly with a smile on his face. In fact, it is mainly because it takes time to clean up the battlefield. Apart from other things, the collection of Ganzinran of Kixing Palace should not be missed. In addition, there are those city defense cannons, which are all good metal materials. After transporting them back, we can produce a few more sets of power armor. It's not easy to have a big family. Haha, brother, you are so mean, Yuna couldn't help but sneer. When the time comes, they will just bombard the other party. Why should they defend themselves? Women don't love men who are not bad, Su Wei said as he stretched out his hand to pinch Yuna's chubby cheeks. It felt great. Hate it. Yuna quickly slapped Su Wei's hand away and jumped off the tall building as if escaping. Hey, where are you going? Su Wei was stunned. You are not so shy, right? I'm going to set up defenses, Yuna's voice came from the air. When the voice fell, the fiery red figure had disappeared. Su Wei had to shake his head helplessly. Are you kidding? In this situation, do you still need to set up defenses? Thinking of this, Su Wei also jumped off the tall building. Revisiting the old place, I must go to see if there are any unexpected gains. At the same time, in the direction of the Demon King's capital, more than 10 miles away from Kixing Palace, the Demon General K. Jinfei led more than 10,000 vanguards to rush over with murderous intent. But there ran into a group of frightened deserters. Report, General, deserters from Kixing Palace were found ahead. A soldier riding a mutant dog ran up to K. Jinfei and said loudly. How many people are there? K. Jinfei was stunned when he heard this. It has only been a short time, and there are already deserters? Report, General, too many to count, the soldier said with a grim face. To be able to stop more than 10,000 vanguards, there must be a lot of people. What's going on? K. Jinfei was surprised. What is going on? Could it be that General, Kixing Palace has been lost, Kixing Palace has been lost? At this time, another soldier drove his mount and ran over. He reported to K. Jinfei loudly. What? How is this possible? K. Jinfei was completely confused. Although there were no demon generals stationed, there were at least tens of thousands of people stationed in Kixing Palace. It has only been a short time since it fell. The thing I was most worried about finally happened. What should I do? For a moment, K. Jinfei was in a state of confusion, regret and sadness. If he had known this would happen, he would not have volunteered. Now he is really in a dilemma. Let us go, please, let us go. Those guys are not human, they are devils, devils from the depths of hell. Just as K. Jinfei was thinking, a noisy sound came from the front, mixed with a wailing of crying for parents. What's going on? Let's go up and take a look. As he said, K. Jinfei drove the mutant Black Panther under his crotch and ran forward. The vanguard army blocked a large number of fleeing soldiers, slaves and civilians. They were all in tattered clothes and wounded. Their faces were depressed and their eyes were scattered, just like a dog that had lost its home. It seemed that there was something terrible chasing behind them, trying to break through the vanguard army camp and escape. What happened in Kixing Palace? Someone come and answer me. I am the third Demon General K. Jinfei. K. Jinfei shouted loudly. Demon General K. Jinfei. A person's reputation is like a tree's shadow. As soon as these words came out, the noisy and chaotic crowd quieted down. Although he was ranked third, he was no ordinary person to be able to become a demon general. In the demon realm, the demon king was a terrifying existence. And the demon general was no exception. He was also very powerful. When they heard the name of the demon general, their first reaction was fear, and they naturally stopped making noise. Even the fear brought by the Phaeton army suddenly decreased a lot. General, Kixing Palace is gone. The enemy's firepower is really too strong. They bombarded us right away. We have no power to fight back. That's right, a middle-aged soldier said with a bitter face. It immediately resonated with the people around him. They all nodded in agreement. Chapter 467 Unexpected. Who are you? K. Jinfei looked at the soldier who spoke and asked sternly. General, I am Liu Kun, the former deputy general of the Kixing Palace Guard. The middle-aged soldier who spoke first answered quickly. Where is Shi Jinglong, the general of the Kixing Palace? K. Jinfei asked. Dead, killed by the opponent's invisible sniper, a soldier heard it and said in a low voice. But in the silence around, it naturally reached the ears of everyone. Hiss. This can't help but cause another round of gasps. This Shi Jinglong is the deputy of the demon general K. Jinfei, a 6-star peak evolver, a quasi 7-star master. Unexpectedly, he died under the opponent's sniper. In theory, after 5 or 6 stars, the body's perception of threats is greatly improved, and threats can be predicted in advance. If you are locked by a sniper rifle, you will feel it and avoid it in advance. But this time the situation is a bit special, and let me explain it slowly. First of all, the battlefield environment of Kixing Palace was in chaos, and it was suppressed by the Phaeton Expeditionary Force. Shi Jinglong's mood and state can be imagined. Secondly, after the artillery fire covered, the fierce ghost invaded first. With the ability of stealth armor, it was like a fish in water in the chaos and was almost unnoticed. The third is that he was unlucky. In a panic, he happened to pass by a fierce ghost. It was almost him who put his head on the muzzle of the opponent's sniper rifle. The fierce ghost pulled the trigger reflexively. A 6-star peak evolver was headshot directly at close range. To be honest, the fierce ghost is still in a daze now. He was originally going to hide a guard, but unexpectedly, a big fish hit the muzzle of the gun by itself. You say, are you stupid? Why are you seeking your own death? This is the thing, and this is the situation. But when K. Jinfei and others heard it, it was not the case. They didn't know that this was a coincidence and accident that was unique in a million. So there are only two possibilities. The first possibility is the level advantage. At least the evolver must be 7 stars or above, and he must be a master of sniping. It is said that Zhangling, the Ice Queen of Phaeton, is a 7-star sniper. Could it be her? The second possibility is that the new weapon is powerful and has good hiding performance. Even the 6-star peak evolvers cannot find it. If this is the case, the trouble will be even greater. But no matter which situation it is, K. Jinfei couldn't help but feel a chill on his back. If Zhangling came, he was not sure if he could avoid the opponent's sniping, because he was only a 7-star evolver. If Phaeton developed such a perverted new weapon, there must be a lot of them. At that time, could he avoid it? Did you see it with your own eyes? K. Jinfei cast his eyes on the young soldier who answered in a low voice. Yes, I saw it with my own eyes. After General Shi was shot, the sniper showed up to check. I was not far from you and saw it clearly, the young soldier answered tremblingly. I don't know if it was because he was shocked by K. Jinfei's momentum, or because he recalled the look in the sniper's eyes. In fact, the fierce ghost had already discovered the young soldier. But he didn't care about the harvest, so he survived by chance. Let's go back to the Demon King's capital. K. Jinfei made a prompt decision, turned the Black Panther around, and led the way back. Whether it was the vanguard army or the Kixing Palace deserters, they couldn't help but be stunned for a moment before hurriedly following. None of them thought that the demon general K. Jinfei would retreat so neatly. However, This also made everyone feel relieved. The Kixing Palace deserters finally escaped, and the vanguard army avoided a fierce battle. Even with tens of thousands of people and fortifications, they couldn't defend the Kixing Palace. How could they take it back with 10,000 people? Fortunately, but this invisibly cast a psychological shadow on the soldiers of the demon realm. Being afraid before fighting, this is a taboo in military strategy. Unfortunately, Jinfei didn't understand. He only knew that it was better to let his friend die than to let himself die. Anyway, Kixing Palace had already been lost, and he might not be able to take it back even if he tried his best. It would be better to be generous and let the Hudang army deal with it. It was not his anyway, so he would not feel bad if he lost it. As long as he retreated to the Demon King city, relying on the tall city walls and dense city defenses, he would be able to beat the Hudang army to pulp. Another reason was that it was better to lean on a big tree for shade. Even if Hudang had some powerful masters this time, they would definitely be nothing in front of the Demon King. Oh my god, why did you retreat? Just as Jinfei was making his own calculations, Su Wei stood at the forefront of the position, watching with a telescope in his hand. There was endless regret on his face. The formation of the team was ready, just waiting for the enemy to attack. He didn't expect the opponent's commander to be so decisive. It made him feel like he was punching a cotton ball. If he knew, Jinfei was scared away by the fierce ghost sniper he had just praised. I wonder what he would think? Haha brother, it seems that you are not a master at planning. Why not just do as I say and rush forward? We are so fast that we can finish it before they can react, don't you think? Yuna, who was standing by, saw Su Wei's jealous look and couldn't help laughing out loud. Humph, you are so arrogant. You dare to openly make up stories about the boss. I will punish you with my family rules. Su Wei stretched out his two hands and was about to pinch Yuna's pink cheeks. It was soft and bouncy, just like kneading dough, which was very interesting. Ah, no, brother, you are taking revenge. Yuna didn't dare to stay and ran away. It's impossible to see me embarrassed. As long as I'm not embarrassed, the embarrassment will be for others. After scaring Yuna away, Su Wei thought proudly. But then again, the guys on the other side are not giving us face. Attention, all units, attention, follow me, the whole army will attack. Su Wei then shouted in the public communication channel. Got it, boss, got it, boss, understood, boss. Soon, a large number of replies rang out in the communication channel. So, under the leadership of Su Wei, the Hudang expeditionary force rushed out of the Kixing Palace and flew towards the direction of the Demon King's capital. Brother, let me lead the assault once. During the flight, Yuna's voice came from the communicator. She looked at Jinfei in front of her with some envy. But the large army was affected by the speed of the guardians and sweepers, and it was impossible to move too fast. Got it, allow the assault, but remember, stop when you are ahead, and don't rush. Hearing Yuna's request, Su Wei readily agreed. Anyway, the army is behind to support, so there won't be any threat. Got it, thank you, brother. Zaxu Yuna immediately replied happily, and at the same time sent a playful kissing emoticon, which made Su Wei smile bitterly. Chapter 468, Pursuit. Buzz Jinfei, who was running, suddenly heard a rapid roar. Turning his head, his face suddenly changed. He saw a group of Phaeton army attackers speeding up to chase them. They have the ability to fly and have medium-sized power armor. This is definitely a fatal blow to the soldiers of the demon realm. Everyone, speed up. Jinfei immediately issued a warning order. There is no shelter to hide on this flat plain. If the Phaeton army catches up, they will definitely be beaten. The soldiers of the demon realm only then discovered the Phaeton army in the sky in the distance. Although there is still some distance, they can fly. For a while, whether it is the vanguard army or the deserters of Kixing Palace, they ran wildly without caring about their lives. But how can two legs outrun four legs? The vanguard army gradually distanced themselves from the deserters of Kixing Palace. Seeing the vanguard army leaving in a cloud of dust, the deserters of Kixing Palace were so angry that they cursed in their hearts. This is too unfair. When they fled, they had no mounts or weapons. The fully armed vanguard army ran faster than anyone else without firing a single shot. This undoubtedly brought an extremely heavy blow to the heavenly soldiers of Kixing Palace, who felt as if they had been abandoned. Buzz 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 as the sound of the propellers behind them got closer and closer, an invisible pressure gradually made these deserters breathless. There was no rescue in front, and there were pursuers behind. Has this reached the end of the road? Tui, I'm so tired that I can't run anymore. I can't run anymore either. In the end, the extremely high pressure caused some soldiers who were not strong enough to collapse and lie flat on the ground. Whatever. Anyway, I can't run anymore, and looking at the nature of the vanguard army, what can they do even if they run to the Demon King? It is very likely that they can't even enter the city gate and still can't escape the fate of being abandoned. Many people closed their eyes and waited for death to come. Once you let go, it seems that death is also a good thing. Whoosh! However, the attackers who caught up with them didn't even look at these guys lying flat, and went straight to the front to chase. The deserters who discovered this phenomenon were immediately ecstatic. The enemy was not as brutal as imagined. So, more and more people chose to lie down. Sure enough, the commando led by Yuna directly passed these people and attacked those who were still resisting. In a moment, blood flowed like a river. The power of the attacker's electromagnetic rifle was so powerful that even the enhancers could not resist it, let alone ordinary people. The team of deserters collapsed instantly, all kneeling on the ground, with their hands raised high. Surrender and no killing, surrender and no killing. The attackers led by Yuna whizzed past, leaving a string of electronic and acoustic sounds. The deserters maintained the same posture and dared not move. It was not until the large force led by Sui arrived and took them as prisoners that they escaped. This little girl is having a really wild time. Sui looked at the huge number of captives in front of him and felt a headache. He had always felt that the population was small, but now it felt that there were too many. Fortunately, these captives were scared and had no idea of resistance. So, a small number of attackers were separated to escort these captives back to Kixing Palace, which had become a temporary prisoner camp for the Phaeton Expeditionary Force. All the survivors of the previous captives were detained there, waiting for the logistics troops to come and receive them. After dealing with these groups of captives, Sui continued to move forward with a large army. After that, when he met a few sporadic captives, Sui directly asked people to shout and let them report to Kixing Palace by themselves. They could go or not. Anyway, in the wasteland world, they had nowhere to go except the survivor camp. It didn't matter even if they secretly ran back to the Demon King City. Anyway, the Demon King City would be taken down sooner or later, and they could receive them together at that time. This confidence? Fish Liang. It is said that Yuna had caught up with the tail of the vanguard army with a large group of attackers. Tut, tut, tut! Yuna ordered to open fire without hesitation. The assaulter electromagnetic rifle directly turned on the continuous shooting mode, and the alloy bullets immediately rained down on the vanguard army like raindrops. Suddenly, the group of people who were running at the back and were also the weakest, fell to the ground one after another like wheat being cut. Their mutant beasts immediately fled in panic and soon disappeared without a trace. Chen Qi, take people to stop the enemy. K. Jinfei saw that this was not okay, and immediately shouted to a deputy general beside him. Yes, General. Although he was not happy, Chen Qi, who was called, still reined in his mount. Brothers, follow me, Chen Qi shouted to the surroundings, and immediately a team of nearly 1,000 people gathered. They were all Chen Qi's men. Charge! Chen Qi glanced at it, and then drove the mount under his crotch again and rushed out. But this time the direction was the opposite. There was no way, if he didn't obey the order, going back would be a dead end. If they could stop the enemy, there might be hope of escaping. Kill! Chen Qi's men immediately followed up with loud shouts. Bang bang! They didn't have powerful weapons, and their guns were just ordinary modified guns. They couldn't cause effective damage to the medium armor of the assaulters. There were a few sniper rifles, but it was difficult to aim at the assaulters in flight. Moreover, the assaulters were equipped with a brand new automatic defense system. That is, after detecting threatening weapons, an alarm would be sounded, marking them out at the first time, allowing the driver to evade or destroy them first. Therefore, those miserable snipers were shot into sieves by a round of concentrated fire before they even fired. Even the mounts under their crotches were not spared. If they hit in the distance, they might be able to cause some damage to the assaulters, but they rushed up like this and entered the range of the assaulters' close defense system. They were definitely giving away their heads. However, the assaulters were not invincible. Seeing that the guns were ineffective, Chen Qi immediately changed his tactics. He threw the alloy sword in his hand with all his strength. Bang! As a result, it hit an attacker who had no time to dodge. The alloy sword immediately broke through the armor and pierced the driver's chest, The armor, which lost power, fell from the sky. Fortunately, two comrades came to rescue quickly and grabbed the armor before it fell to the ground. Then, they quickly flew to the rear and gave first aid to the injured. Chen Qi's subordinates immediately followed suit. There were also many power-type evolvers, and they all threw their weapons into the sky. Attention, evade! Yuna threw out two fireballs and knocked down two flying weapons. At the same time, a warning was issued on the communication channel. The attackers all raised their flight altitudes and evaded at the same time, causing most of the thrown cold weapons to miss and fall to the ground. There were also a few who could not avoid being hit, but before they fell, the comrades around them would take them to the rear for rescue and treatment. Chapter 469 Burning Flames. Seeing that the attack was effective, Chen Qi and others immediately increased their attacks. Swords, spears and even large rocks were used as weapons and thrown out. Although the damage caused was minimal, it successfully stopped Yuna and the others. It gave Kei Jinfei a chance to escape. Asshole, seeing Kei Jinfei run a long way away again. Yuna was so angry that her teeth itched. She immediately reached out and pressed the start button on her chest. The power armor on her body immediately opened and threw her out. But the power armor still maintained its flying posture, and could even automatically fire and dodge. The falling Yuna was like a sharp arrow, flying towards Chen Qi and others. Oh no, it's the Flame Girl, quick get out of the way! Chen Qi was immediately scared to death when he saw the red shadow flying at a high speed. The demon realm had launched a large-scale siege against the three women, but the siege was broken by the three people. The reason why Zhangling is called the Ice Queen, in addition to her beauty, is her terrifying ice control ability, which can freeze a large area at once, which can be called ice for thousands of miles. As for the wolf girl Ma Xianwu, the self-destructing wolf in her hand is hard to guard against, especially after adding the cloaking device. You have no idea where the explosion will happen. As for the Flame Girl, she is even more of a nightmare for melee fighters. She is an elemental body and immune to physical attacks. It is very difficult to deal with this. Although they have surrounded them, they were burned out of their lives by this Flame Girl. Therefore, in the battle table of the demon realm, the Flame Girl Yuna is definitely ranked first. Simple and crude, and it is impossible to fight back. Yuna's speed is extremely fast, and others have no time to react. Boom! Just when Chen Qi tried his best to jump far, Yuna fell into the crowd and a huge fire ignited in an instant. A figure made of flames shuttled rapidly in the crowd, and the flames burned the body wherever it passed, and no one was spared. However, the attacks of the crowd hit the flames and passed through the body without causing any damage. Of course, Chen Qi also has a few elemental power users, but their levels are not high, and the threat to Yuna is very small. What's more, Yuna is not fighting alone. When she landed, that is, when the ground attack collapsed, the attackers in the sky followed and pressed up. The assault electromagnetic rifles in their hands fired wildly, harvesting the enemies surrounded by the flames. I will fight you. Seeing his men and brothers fall one by one, Chen Qi's eyes instantly turned red, and his whole body burst out with an explosive breath. His muscles bulged like steamed buns, and even the metal armor on his body was bulged and cracked, and fell to the ground one after another. The exposed skin actually shone with a metallic luster. Bang! Chen Qi, who exploded, angrily punched his chest twice, making a sound of metal knocking. The attackers in the sky soon discovered Chen Qi's unusual movements, and their firepower poured towards him. However, the high-speed flying bullets, hitting Chen Qi, bounced off like jumping beans. Although there were dense bullet marks on the metallic skin, it did not break the defense, only leaving traces. Chen Qi's ability is different from Gan Xinren's metallization. It's just that his skin is metallized, but it also has strong defensive capabilities. Whoosh! Chen Qi jumped high in the hail of bullets. No one expected that he could jump so high. Two unsuspecting attackers were instantly grabbed by his ankles and dragged down. With a bang, Chen Qi directly hit the two attackers head-on. The huge force caused the two attackers to crash. Fortunately, with the protection of armor, the driver only fainted temporarily and did not cause fatal damage. Boom! Yuna, who came after hearing the news, instantly turned into a sea of fire and surrounded Chen Qi. Under the cover of high temperature, Chen Qi felt threatened, but his metallized skin gave him higher resistance. He did not lose his combat effectiveness instantly. So, he quickly jumped to the edge of the flames. Yuna just had to chase. In this way, although Chen Qi was restrained, He could not kill him for the time being. Chains. At this time, an attacker shouted in the communication channel. Everyone suddenly realized. They took out alloy chains, buckled 3 or 2 together, and then threw them at Chen Qi. More than 10 extended alloy chains instantly entangled him tightly. Dozens of attackers immediately landed on the ground, pulling the alloy chains, trapping Chen Qi in place. Roar! Chen Qi roared repeatedly, but unfortunately, no matter how strong he was, he could not compete with dozens of HT-1s. In addition, the alloy chains were so strong that he could not break free for a while. He was trapped in place. Go to hell, Yuna's voice rang out in the flames. I saw a pillar of fire rising up from under Chen Qi's feet, instantly engulfing him. With Yuna's full firepower, Chen Qi's steel skin couldn't resist for long. After a few breaths, his skin began to melt like hot wax. Without the protection of steel skin, his internal organs and bones were immediately eroded by the flames. In the blink of an eye, it turned into ashes. Bang, bang, bang. The alloy chains that were originally straight broke one by one. There were traces of burning on the broken ends. It can be seen how terrible Yuna's flame is. As long as she is given a little time, the super alloy can be melted by her. Then, the flame shrank back into a ball, and then transformed into Yuna's outline. She jumped into the air, and the power armor cruising nearby immediately flew over to catch Yuna, who had turned into a corpse in the air. Soon, Yuna's curvy body was wrapped in the power armor. It's really a bit tiring. Yuna, who had turned into a physical body, sweated on her forehead. Although the elemental body is powerful, as the consumption increases, the burden on the body is not small. However, the enemy has been eliminated. In addition, she can also take a good breath and rest after returning to the armor. This power armor is tailor-made for her and has a very high degree of intelligence. For example, now, she only needs consciousness to make the armor operate according to her ideas, including issuing orders. The original design was to give Yuna enough time to rest and recharge. In actual combat, the effect is very significant. It makes Yuna directly become a mobile and recyclable killer. Leave after fighting, and come back again after resting enough. This is definitely the enemy's worst nightmare. Minister Yu, the enemy has entered the Demon King city. At this time, the report of the frontline scout came from the communication channel. Humph, he's lucky. Let's go back and join the main force. Yuna saw Kei Jinfei just entered the gate of the Demon King city through the long-range camera. Although she can still fight again, she has no interest in hunting. So she gave an order in the communicator. Received. Soon, Yuna led the assaulters to slowly retreat, preparing to join the main force and then kill a surprise attack. Chapter 470, Bandit Logic. Boom. As the remaining vanguard army entered the Demon King city, the heavy city gates slowly closed. The dozens of meters high city wall immediately isolated everything. Wait, why do you say it's the remnant? Because most of them were without mounts and slow, they were killed by the assaulters led by Yuna. Kei Jinfei, why are you back? Coming out of the city gate, Kei Jinfei happened to meet the 4th Demon General Guz Hengcheng. The large army in the Demon King city has been assembled, and tens of thousands of people have gathered in the large square in front of the Demon King Palace, exuding an iron-blooded atmosphere. Guz Hengcheng, where's the Demon King? Kei Jinfei asked anxiously. He didn't care about the contempt in the other's eyes. The Demon King is still in the Demon King Palace. You said that a vanguard general, not going to the battlefield to kill the enemy, ran back to find the Demon King. Demon General Guz Hengcheng did not intend to let the other party go. After all, there are few opportunities to taunt. Guz Hengcheng, if you keep being sarcastic here, I will tell the Demon King that you are the one who delayed the military intelligence. Kei Jinfei's face suddenly changed. Give you face? HMPH, Kei Jinfei, stop talking nonsense. I saw it all on the city wall just now. I don't know who it is. 10,000 vanguard troops were beaten to pulp by 1,000 people, just like a dog that has lost its home. This time, Guz Hengcheng did not give in at all. Who made Kei Jinfei escape from the battlefield? You know shit. Kei Jinfei's face flushed with anger. Fearless sacrifice is something only fools would do. I don't understand. What's the reason for 10,000 people to be chased and beaten by 1,000 people? As Guz Hengcheng spoke, a cold voice came. It was ethereal, but it was clearly heard by the two people. The two people were suddenly struck by lightning, their bodies stiffened, and they could no longer speak. A strong enemy is coming. You are still making a fuss here, what's wrong with that? With a unique voice of the Demon King, who was covered in a dark green cloth robe, appeared at the top of the stairs of the Demon King's palace. Although he was thin, he gave people a very threatening feeling. It always felt like there was a breath of death lingering around him, as if getting close to him would kill you. Yes, my king. Jinfei and Guz Hengchang hurriedly bowed to receive the instruction. All the soldiers in the field also remained silent, looking extremely depressed. Jinfei, what's going on? The Demon King was very satisfied with the deterrent effect of his appearance. He turned his head to look at Jinfei and asked, My king, Qixing Palace has been lost, the enemy's large force is rushing towards the Demon King. I encountered the enemy's vanguard, the flame girl Yuna, they are all equipped with flying power armor, we are struggling, Jinfei hurriedly answered honestly. Humph, the Demon King couldn't help but snorted when he heard the words. But he had nothing to say. Air defense has always been a shortcoming for humans in the wasteland world. It's just that everyone was the same before, with basically no air advantage, so they didn't feel it. Now, Phaeton has advanced power armor and almost has the ability to fight on land, sea and air, so it is particularly difficult for the demon realm without air defense. Report to my king. The Phaeton army is already at the gates of the city. At this moment, a red flag soldier with a flag on his back rushed over, knelt down in front of the steps of the Demon King's palace, and shouted loudly. Got it, the Demon King didn't fluctuate too much? After calmly recovering, he slowly walked down the steps. There were also hundreds of demon warriors following behind him. The breath of the people around him condensed. This should be all the trump cards in the Demon King's hand, right? The Demon King walked down the steps and walked towards the east wall again. Jinfei and Guz Hengchang hurriedly followed him on the left and right. When everyone climbed the dozens of meters high city wall, on the plain outside the Demon King city, a few kilometers away, there was a mass of power-armored soldiers flying. Different models, different equipment. But all of them looked murderous. Sui and Yuna, who were hovering in front of the formation, looked coldly at the soldiers on the Demon King city and the city wall. When will the army of the demon realm arrive? The Demon King looked at Sui, who was wearing light blue power armor, and whispered to Jinfei beside him. My king, the fastest batch is expected to take 5 or 6 hours, Jinfei replied quickly. Although the Demon King's order has been sent out, it takes time for the various armies to gather and rush to the Demon King city. Now, the armies of Jinfei and Guz Hengchang, who are closest to the Demon King city, have not arrived yet. After all, they do not have the flying ability of the Phaeton army. It will naturally take more time. Moreover, what they didn't know was that Zhang Ling and Ma Xianwu, after receiving the news that Su Wei attacked the Demon King city, did not rush to support immediately, but set up an ambush on the main road to block the reinforcements from going to the Demon King city. Therefore, the arrival of the reinforcements from the demon realm depends on luck. Demon King of the demon realm, surrender. It's not easy to survive in the wasteland world. Join our Phaeton base, and we will never treat you unfairly. Su Wei slowly left the team and flew to the Demon King city alone, looking at the man wrapped in a dark green cloth robe and said. Based on the respect of the two demon generals Jinfei and Guz Hengchang, it is not difficult to guess that he is the Demon King. Are you Su Wei? The Demon King did not answer directly, but looked at Su Wei carefully, and then asked back. Yes, I am Su Wei. Su Wei nodded generously and admitted it. Although countless defense guns on the top of the city were aimed at his position at this moment. But he was still not afraid. Just relying on the armor with blue chen gold on his body, he had the confidence to withstand the attack. Besides, he can teleport. Is he going to stand there and get beaten? Are you stupid? I admire you, I admire your courage, but don't you think it's too much? The Demon King of the Demon Realm asked coldly. Since the last expeditionary army was defeated, he ordered the defense line to shrink. It was equivalent to giving up most of the territory. Even in the face of the constant harassment of the 3 women, he did not personally take action to kill them all. Well, of course, this is what he thought. But I didn't expect that Su Wei would directly attack the border with a large army this time. Is he really bullying the demon realm without anyone? Too much? Demon King, are you forgetful? When you sent the Black Fox to attack my base, why didn't you say it was too much? Su Wei was so angry that he laughed. What kind of bandit logic is this? I can only beat you, but you can't beat me. Humph, you've killed the Black Fox. Moreover, You've killed 2 of my 4 demon generals. I've even given you the southeastern district of Menghe City. Are you still not satisfied?" The Demon King kept the same tone, and no emotion could be heard. "Ha, what a joke. I got all these by my own ability. You gave them to me for free again. Besides, can these offset the damage you've done to Phaeton? I'm telling you, that's impossible. Today, either surrender or die," Su Wei said directly. Chapter 471 Fighting. "How dare you?" The Demon King was immediately irritated by Su Hu. His sharp voice became even sharper, and it sounded beyond the scope of human beings. Cajun Fei and others around him could not help but cover their ears. The strength of an 8-star evolver should never be underestimated. Unfortunately, Su Wei, who was targeted by the Demon King, was like nothing happened. After all, he was already an 8th-level strong man. Moreover, with the help of the 8 Extreme's internal power, his strength improved by leaps and bounds, belonging to the peak of the 8th level, which was higher than the Demon King of the Demon Realm. Humph, I thought so. So it was because he broke through to the 8th level. But, young man, high level does not necessarily mean strong strength. I advise you to go back to where you came from. I can pretend that what happened today did not happen. The Demon King also noticed something strange. Su Wei was not affected by his targeting. This was enough to show that the opponent had also reached the level of 8 stars. He was already qualified to fight him. I agree with what you said. High level does not mean strong strength, but I am a person with high level and strong strength. What can you do to me? Su Wei started to mock mercilessly. How dare you? In that case, let's fight. I will make you regret it. The Demon King of the Demon Realm raised his hand, and the soldiers of the Demon Realm on the city wall immediately activated the defensive artillery. Boom boom, the roar of the giant cannon sounded, and the huge shells and thick plasma covered the area where Su Wei was in an instant. Damn. This damn Demon King has no martial ethics. Yuna and others almost rushed up. But at this time, Su Wei's voice came from the communication channel, stopping the team from rioting. Demon King, you have successfully aroused my anger, so, wait to be destroyed. Su Wei's voice came from the smoke of the explosion. Then, a light blue shadow flew away like a sharp arrow. Before leaving, he made an internationally accepted gesture to the Demon King on the top of the city. I despise you, Yuda Demon. The top of the Demon King's city suddenly fell into dead silence. Under such a fierce attack, the opponent was not damaged at all, and even left so calmly, as if he was not afraid of another round of attack from you. Start the war, the Demon King still said calmly. Yes, my king. Cajun Fei and others hurriedly bowed and accepted the order. Then they led the soldiers to their respective posts, ready to meet the attack of the Phaeton army. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Sure enough, the air was filled with the sound of objects tearing the air when flying at high speed. Then, a small missile appeared in the sky above the top of the Demon King's city, bombarding like raindrops. It was the swarm of the sweepers. Boom boom boom. The violent explosion instantly submerged the top of the city, black smoke rose, and the fire was blazing. Oh my god. Su Wei actually mixed in incendiary bombs in it. Cough cough cough. The Demon King's heavy log armor resisted the attack of the bee-swarm missiles, but it could not ignore the flames and smoke. Especially the smoke that Su Wei added. The soldiers of the Demon Realm were choked one by one. Tears and snot. The damage was not high, but the insult was extremely strong. Even if there were a large number of defensive guns, most of them were misfired at this moment. Buzz buzz. The attackers came in an instant. The dozens of meters-high walls and the heavy log armor were invisible to them with the ability to fly. The attackers' electromagnetic rifles in their hands turned on the sweeping mode and madly harvested the lives of the Demon Realm soldiers. Under the raging fire and smoke, the vision of the Demon Realm soldiers was severely obstructed, and they often couldn't even figure out where they were. The Phaeton's attackers, with power armor equipped with a full set of life support systems, were as leisurely as taking a walk in the raging fire and smoke. Occasionally, there were rebels, but it was difficult to penetrate the power armor. Therefore, the top of the city suddenly turned into a scene of massacre. Bang bang. In the midst of the fighting, there were also special gunshots. Needless to say, it was the fierce ghosts and their super electromagnetic sniper rifles. They often aimed at soldiers of slightly higher ranks. Under the powerful sniper rifles, few people could escape. This made the resistance of the soldiers in the Demon Realm even worse. However, all this, the Demon King standing on the top of the city ignored it. His sight was always locked on Su Wei in midair. Here, only he could fight with him. Sui was in midair, watching the attackers quickly destroy the first line of defense of the Demon King city. For the time being, he had no intention of competing with them. He wanted to see what killers the Demon King of the Demon Realm and the Demon King of the Demon Realm had. But everything was so normal. If nothing unexpected happened, the Phaeton Expeditionary Force would be able to take over the Demon King city in half an hour. The only thing worth wondering was that the tens of thousands of Demon Realm soldiers gathered in the square did not move. The Demon King of the Demon Realm had no intention of mobilizing them to come to support. Sui couldn't help but increase the scan, but the instrument showed that those people were just ordinary soldiers of the Demon Realm, and there was nothing hidden. There was nothing special about them. Could it be that the Demon King of the Demon Realm chose to lie down directly? No, it shouldn't be that simple. Judging from the Demon King's eyes without any emotion, fear should not appear in his dictionary. So, the Demon King of the Demon Realm did not move. Sui did not move either. The two of them looked at each other. They started playing the game of us being puppets. Tui, I wonder how long you can endure it? Sui thought to himself. Anyway, it's not the Phaeton Expeditionary Force that is suffering heavy casualties now. Of course, it doesn't mean that the Phaeton Expeditionary Force is invincible. Accidents are inevitable in battle. However, in comparison, the casualties of Phaeton are far less than those of the Demon Realm soldiers. Suddenly, the Demon King of the Demon Realm, who was still, let out a sharp whistle. The hundreds of demon warriors guarding him suddenly let out bloodthirsty roars. Then, hundreds of demon warriors seemed to be activated. Rushed out quickly. Several of the closest attackers were instantly caught by the rushing demon warriors, either by their hands or feet. They wanted to struggle, but they couldn't break free. Crash. Then, the captured attackers were torn apart by the demon warriors with their bare hands. The scene was extremely shocking. The soldiers who managed to escape from the armor unfortunately ran into the crowd of demon warriors and were instantly killed by them. Although these demon warriors were few in number, they were extremely powerful and killed people like flies. They were completely killing tools born for war. Seeing the casualties among the attackers, Sui frowned. But he still had to keep an eye on the Demon King of the Demon Realm. Fortunately, the special forces led by Li Yanli arrived in time. They curbed the massacre of the demon warriors. The two sides engaged in a fierce fight. Chapter 472 Mysterious Confidence. The Phaeton Special Forces suppressed the attack of the demon warriors. The two sides fought evenly. These demon warriors said nothing, but they were as strong as 1,000 pounds. Their whole bodies were as hard as iron, and their defensive ability was amazing. The most important thing was that they would not give in even if they were injured. They would not hesitate to exchange injuries for injuries. As time went on, the special forces could not help but feel a little tired. Because these demon warriors gave people a very strange feeling. They were tireless, painless, and fearless. Whether they were enhancers, evolvers, or awakeners, they would gradually weaken as the battle time prolonged. But the demon warriors gave the special forces a feeling of being consistent. Even if one of their arms was cut off, they did not feel weakened, but became more violent under the stimulation of blood. When a special forces member stabbed a demon warrior's eyes with a sharp blade in his hand, the other party did not dodge at all, and did not even blink. As a result, one of the demon warrior's eyes was pierced, and the special forces member was also caught by him, and was strangled to 2 pieces with his armor. Yes, it looks a bit like a zombie. But it is not as bloodthirsty and crazy as zombies. It is very methodical in the battle. The special forces suffered a lot in the first contact without knowing the situation. Several special forces members paid the price of their lives. Li Yanli and others were instantly furious. However, they soon discovered a weakness of the opponent. It seems that the brain is not very good, and the ability to respond on the spot is somewhat insufficient. For example, if you attack directly, the demon warrior will also fight back, but if you suddenly withdraw your move or retreat in the middle, the demon warrior will most likely hesitate for about a second before taking the next step. Don't think that this second is fleeting. But in the eyes of masters, 1 second is enough to do many things. Mastering this key point, the special forces losses are getting less and less. And the casualties of the demon warriors are gradually increasing. After all, the level of special forces is generally higher than that of demon warriors, reaching an average level of 4 stars. The main force of demon warriors is 3 stars. In addition, special forces also have customized power armor, which can play a greater individual advantage. Therefore, after understanding the characteristics of demon warriors, the situation of the battle began to gradually reverse. Moreover, as the surrounding demon soldiers were killed by Xiao Qing, the attackers and fierce ghosts who surrounded them also caused some damage to the demon warriors. HMPH, in the fierce battle, the demon king of the demon domain snorted coldly. The demon warriors in the battle quickly broke away and retreated to the side of the demon king. In a short period of time, the damage to the demon warriors was half. This made the demon king of the demon domain bleed in his heart. The abnormal behavior of the opponent forced Su Wei to order a suspension of the attack. The demon king of the demon domain took the opportunity to withdraw his remaining subordinates to the demon king capital. The tall and thick city walls in the eyes of others are nothing in front of the Phaeton army. The city walls have lost their due function. Therefore, it is reasonable for the demon king of the demon domain to give up directly. Seeing the demon king retreat, Guz Hengcheng and others also followed suit. For a time, only the assaulters and the fierce ghost team from the Phaeton expeditionary force were left on the top of the city. Boss. What should we do now? Li Yanli's voice came from Su Wei's communicator. The demon king of the demon realm and others retreated directly to the center of the demon king's city, the demon king's palace. However, tens of thousands of demon realm soldiers in the surrounding squares still gathered around the high platform of the demon king's palace. They formed a human wall. The problem is that the powerful log armor can't resist it, so what's the use of relying on these human walls? There must be something wrong when things are abnormal. Especially the demon king of the demon realm who acted strangely. People smelled a full breath of conspiracy. Su Wei couldn't help but be silent. He was still flying in the air, and he could see the whole battlefield. The demon king of the demon realm was standing on the high platform of the demon king's palace at this moment, looking up and looking at him. It seemed to say, "Come here. If you have the ability, come to me. Attack." I don't know what medicine the demon king is selling in the gourd. I don't know what tricks he has in mind. If we don't attack, will we just retreat? That's impossible. But if we keep wasting time like this, once the reinforcements from the demon realm arrive, the advantage of the surprise attack will be gone. And it is very likely that the Phaeton expeditionary force will be trapped in a difficult battle. You know, the demon realm has a population of more than 100,000, and it will be a difficult battle. This is the result that Su Wei doesn't want to see. Sweepers advance. After thinking it over again and again, Su Wei gave the order firmly. The demon king's capital must be taken today. Received. After receiving the order, the sweepers began to move towards the battlefield. There were guardians in front of them to clear the way, and flame demons on both wings to protect them. Although flame demons appear less frequently, they are definitely a nightmare for melee fighters. Fire. After the sweepers entered the attack range, they launched a blanket attack on the designated area given by Su Wei. With a round of volleys, the swarm flew densely into the sky, and then fell directly to the large square in front of the demon king's palace along the calculated parabola. Boom boom boom. The swarm instantly covered the entire square. The demon realm soldiers were blown to pieces. The strange thing was that there was no scream. Even though their limbs were broken, the soldiers still looked numb. Such a strange scene made people feel cold. Demon realm demon king, what on earth is he going to do? Su Wei looked at the demon realm demon king, and the demon realm demon king was also looking at him. The eyes under the demon mask exuded a look of contempt for the common people. After a round of volleys, there was no order from Su Wei to continue. The sweepers stopped. Their current location was only less than 1 kilometer away from the gate of the demon emperor's capital. As long as Su Wei gave an order, they could carry out a blanket attack on the entire demon emperor. This is the power of long-range rockets. Su Wei, is this all you can do? I'll wait for you here. Come in if you have the guts. The demon realm demon king saw Su Wei's hesitation and immediately mocked him wildly with his sharp voice. Brother, let me go. I promise to beat that damn demon king to pulp. Yuna was so angry that she immediately volunteered. Don't panic. Su Wei calmed down the restless flame girl. He carefully observed everything around him again. He did see some clues. Moreover, the tens of thousands of demon soldiers had lost their combat capability in a round of bombardment. No matter how you look at it, the demon king of the demon domain has reached a dead end. But where does he get his confidence from? Just relying on his strength as an 8-star evolver? At most, he can escape, right? But what's the use of that? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 473, The Heart of the Demon King. After the Demon King of the Demon Realm mocked Sui, he stopped talking and continued to stare at Sui. Is he playing the empty city trick? Sui couldn't help but have such a thought in his mind. But there was also a point that he couldn't explain. That is, why could tens of thousands of soldiers remain silent when they were attacked? Attention everyone, fierce ghosts raid the formation, attackers follow me, attack, but the situation is unclear, everyone be careful. In the end, Sui still chose to attack. He couldn't give up just because the opponent was mysterious. He had confidence in himself and in the Phaeton Expeditionary Force. Yes, boss, a loud voice sounded in the communication channel. The Phaeton Expeditionary Force has never been afraid of fighting. Buzz buzz buzz. The attackers who landed on the top of the city took off one after another, formed an array in the air, and followed Sui to charge into the Demon King's capital. The fierce ghosts jumped onto the commanding heights on the top of the city wall, set up super-powered electromagnetic sniper rifles, and were ready to provide remote support at any time. Even the guardians, sweepers, and fire demons outside the city were ready for battle. Seeing Sui and his men rushing in, the Demon King standing on the high platform couldn't help but laugh twice. This laughter startled Guz Hengcheng and K Jinfei on the side, and they couldn't help but feel a chill on their backs. Although they are the demon generals of the demon realm, their status is second only to the Demon King of the demon realm. But to be honest, they are as unfamiliar with the Demon King of the demon realm as outsiders. They haven't even seen his true face. They don't know whether he is a man or a woman. Hearing the weird laughter of the Demon King of the demon realm at this moment, the two couldn't help but have an ominous premonition in their hearts. Crack! Sure enough, when Sui led his men to rush to the high platform, the Demon King of the demon realm crushed something in his hand. His Highness the Demon King behind him rushed out a huge object, penetrated the roof of the hall, and flew into the sky. Boom! Then, the object exploded. Unlike the explosion of a bomb, the object exploded and a dark green liquid was splashed out. Instantly, a huge dark green cloud formed above the Demon King city. Dark green raindrops also fell from the sky. If you look closely, you will find that those dark green raindrops began to evaporate in the air, forming dark green smoke. In a very short time, a huge green smoke area was formed with the Demon King Palace as the center. The sudden change made Sui and others stop abruptly. Is it poison? Or what? Such thoughts suddenly arose in everyone's mind. The protective mask was also activated at the first time, and the people who were bathed in the green mist did not feel any discomfort. But in view of the weirdness of the green smoke, Sui ordered to turn on the highest air filtration level. Although this will accelerate the loss of the filter device, it is worth it for safety reasons. Sui, prepare to accept the feast of death, the alternative voice of the Demon King of the demon realm sounded. In the dark green smoke, it looked particularly gloomy and terrifying. Roar roar. At this moment, in the Demon King city, inhuman roars rang out everywhere. Retreat. Sui ordered a retreat without any hesitation. Under the acceleration of the thrusters, everyone quickly flew away from the area covered by dark green smoke. But the green cloud in the sky was still there, and green raindrops kept falling. As the green liquid on the ground increased, the dark green smoke became thicker and thicker. Moreover, the range covered by the smoke was gradually expanding. In the smoke, the inhuman roars became more and more frequent and more urgent. Boss, look! At this time, Wei Jun flew to Sui's side, holding an ordinary ala broadsword in his hand. There were serious corrosion marks on the blade, and the front half was almost broken by corrosion. Sui was slightly stunned. The corrosion marks were still fresh, and there was a faint dark green shadow. Boss, this is the broadsword I picked up. But after sticking it into the dark green thick fog, it became like this in less than a minute, Wei Jun hurriedly explained. The broadsword was dropped by the soldiers of the demon realm, which shows that these green liquids and thick fog are extremely corrosive. This reminded Sui of the last zombie tide, when there was a kind of zombie that could secrete a strong corrosive venom. Since then, someone in the base's science and technology department has been studying that kind of highly corrosive venom. A corresponding coating has been configured. Now the HT-1 power armor is sprayed with this coating, so it has a certain corrosion resistance. In order to confirm this idea, Su Wei took a big knife prepared by the assaulter, broke it in half, and then put the broken end into the spreading dark green fog. Sure enough, the metal part at the broken end immediately showed signs of corrosion. But the coated part on the surface was safe and sound. This may be something that the Demon King of the Demon Realm did not expect. Notify everyone to self-check the system. Those with damaged armor should stay away from the fog area. If there are people with corroded armor, abandon the armor immediately and retreat to the rear. Su Wei threw away the broken knife in his hand and said in the communication channel. Got it, boss. Got it, boss. The team members quickly turned on the self-check system of the power armor. This is a system for real-time monitoring of whether the power armor is normal, which can quickly and effectively troubleshoot the hidden dangers of the power armor. Soon, hundreds of people found that their power armor was damaged and were forced to withdraw from the battle sequence. The armor he took off was placed in a centralized place, and it would be collected after the war. Of course, the premise is to win the war. If it fails, then these armors will also be blasted in a directional manner, leaving no usable parts for the enemy. Ayo in the dark green smoke, people were everywhere and screaming. But because of the fog, it was hard to see what was going on inside. Not good, the fog is coming, someone shouted. Everyone realized that the speed of the fog expansion had become faster. Soon it reached the city wall. Retreat. Su Wei had to order a retreat again. It was really a coward. But in the face of unknown danger, he had to make concessions. This time, not only the attackers retreated, but even the fierce ghosts had to retreat. The sweeper phalanx outside the city also received the order to evacuate at the first time. No one knew what would happen next. Is this the Demon Realm super weapon? Su Wei couldn't help but think as he watched the increasingly dense fog. They had been forced to evacuate outside the Demon King city. But the increasingly dense dark green fog was like a stream of water, overflowing from the tall city walls. Like flowing water, it spread out in all directions. From a distance, the Demon King city at this moment looked like stuffing wrapped in a ball of dark green matter. There was an unsettling atmosphere everywhere. Chapter 474, Corpse Mountain Monster. Kikekuka brother, look, Yuna's cry suddenly rang out in the channel. Looking in the direction of her little hand, I saw that the battlefield just outside the city was already filled with dark green smoke. But that's not the point. The point is that the dark green smoke automatically entered the mouths and noses of those dead Demon Realm soldiers. Then they moved. The life that was originally dead suddenly opened its eyes and struggled to get up from the ground, sucking the dark green mist in big mouthfuls. As a large amount of dark green mist entered the bodies of these guys began to swell and their muscles bulged, but green light emerged from their eyes, full of bloodthirsty demonic nature, and they had no human characteristics at all. They had already become beasts. Zombies? Living dead? Zombies. Several different nouns flashed in Su Wei's mind in an instant, but their essence was the same. That is, people who died and resurrected. Roar! Those resurrected corpses looked around blankly and instantly found the traces of Su Wei and others. Then, they rushed over frantically. Up, then it was awkward. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't reach the Phaeton Expeditionary Force in midair. They could only roar and jump there angrily. Unfortunately, all this was in vain. Haha, these big idiots are so funny. Yuna couldn't help but laugh at the look of these idiots. The originally tense atmosphere melted away with Yuna's chuckle. Bang bang bang, someone tried to fire a few shots. It was found that these resurrected people were just like zombies. Only by hitting the brain could they be completely killed, otherwise they couldn't stop attacking. But these guys had green light in their eyes, their bodies swelled, and even their skin turned into a weird green color, which was different from zombies. In short, they were full of weirdness. Ugh! Just when Su Wei was about to order another massacre of these living dead, a sharp and high roar came from the fog. This familiar smell was naturally the Demon King of the Demon Realm. The zombies that had gathered at the foot of the Phaeton Expeditionary Force suddenly quieted down. Then, one by one, they rushed into the fog like lightning. Shoot, Su Wei ordered hurriedly. No matter what, they are all enemies. If we can kill one, there will be one less. The attackers pulled the trigger without hesitation. Bullets rained down instantly. Groups of zombies fell, but because of their immortality, as long as their brains were not broken, they could get up and continue running. Even those with broken legs crawled towards the fog without giving up. For these slow-moving targets, the attackers naturally shot their heads without hesitation. After a few breaths, the zombies that could move rushed into the fog and disappeared. Only faint and excited roars could be heard. "Stop shooting," Su Wei ordered immediately. "Without vision, the hit rate is not high, not to mention that the head needs to be blown up. It's better to save some bullets." "Brother, what should we do now?" Yuna flew to Su Wei and asked with a worried look on her face. No one expected that the raid, which had been going smoothly all the way, would turn out like this. "Let the guardians and sweepers continue to retreat, the flame demons stay behind to provide support." Su Wei looked at the fog and thought for a moment before giving the order. The situation inside was unknown, and the fog had a terrifying attribute, so it was naturally not easy to take risks. The Phaeton team quickly moved. The guardians and sweepers moved to a farther strategic location. Su Wei and the raiders continued to keep a safe distance from the spreading fog. As for the flame demons, they stayed where they were, not far from Su Wei and the others. Roar! The Phaeton army had just started moving. A terrifying roar came from the fog, which definitely did not belong to any known creature. At the same time, the fog was stirred, as if a huge thing was churning inside. "Everyone be careful," Su Wei immediately warned. Because even he, who was at level 8, felt a sense of crisis. It was definitely a powerful existence. As soon as Su Wei finished speaking, a big guy stood up in the mist. Yes, he stood up. His height was much higher than the city wall of several dozen meters. It was just a little smaller than the Black Phoenix. Damn! A mountain of corpses? Everyone was stunned when they saw the huge monster in front of them. It was a huge humanoid monster made up of countless mutant corpses. At least the upper body was humanoid, because the lower body was still bathed in dark green mist. From a distance, it was a giant standing upright, but if you look closer, it would be creepy. Because whether it is the head, body, or arms, they are all made up of countless living dead, as if they were glued together with super glue, and those twisted faces and wailing mouths are clearly visible. But unlike a mountain of corpses, these living dead are more condensed. It can be seen with the naked eye that their bodies all show a metallic luster. The most important point is that there is a person standing on the head of this giant. Dark green robes, demonic ghost mask. It is the Demon King of the Demon Realm. A closer look revealed that the Demon King's legs had sunk into the giant monster, as if they had become one with it. "Sweepers, focus fire." Su Wei's eyes tightened, and he immediately gave the order to attack in the communicator. This madman, with such a huge number, was definitely not just the demon soldiers. It was estimated that all the humans in the entire Demon King city had become its burial objects. Because, among the dense crowd of living dead, Su Wei found the shadows of the elderly, children, and women. Received, the sweepers immediately stopped their transfer, lowered the stabilizer, raised the ammunition compartment, and opened the launch port. After locking the target on the holographic helmet, the order to fire was immediately issued. At this time, Su Wei led the assaulters to tactically retreat a distance and keep a safe distance from the giant. The swarm soon shot over densely. The monster, which looked like a mountain of corpses, immediately raised a huge arm and blocked the Demon King of the Demon Realm. Boom boom boom! The bee swarm crashed into it and was instantly detonated, blooming into bright flowers. However, after the explosion, the corpse-like monster seemed to be fine. Except for some dregs, which were the remains of some corpses. This was just a drop in the bucket for it. Moreover, there were still living dead people in the mist, swarming up the body of the corpse mountain monster and merging with it. The crater that had just been blown out was instantly filled up again. Boom boom! The corpse mountain monster that was attacked began to move, and two big feet could be vaguely seen in the mist. Stepping on the ground, making a dull sound. The houses and buildings in the Demon King's city collapsed instantly, either being trampled or shaken down. With a crash, the Demon King's city's dozens of meters high wall was directly kicked away by the corpse mountain monster, and then walked out from the broken place. Chapter 475, Strong Attack. Huh? When the corpse mountain monster approached, it slapped at him. With its height and hugeness, the attackers were like flies flying in the air. The HT-1 power armor only has the ability to fly at medium and high altitudes, which is about 100 meters. Therefore, the height of the corpse mountain monster plus the length of its arms are enough to threaten the attackers. Freely evade. After Su Wei gave the order, he rushed up first. Buzz! The attackers behind him immediately broke away from the formation and flew freely to avoid the attack of the corpse mountain monster's big hand. At the same time, the electromagnetic rifles in their hands also opened fire and swept at the corpse mountain monster. Although the damage is limited, it can be accumulated slowly. In addition, with the advantage of the attacker's numbers, it is also a consumption for the corpse mountain monster. The first attack of the corpse mountain monster ended in failure, but it did not give up, but continued to wave its arms to drive away the fly-like attackers. Under the huge power, there are always attackers who evade improperly and get hit. Once hit, for the attackers, it will be crushed. This is the advantage of huge size. Su Wei held Pajin in both hands and rushed straight to the Demon King in the head. Shoot the horse first when shooting a man, and capture the king first when capturing a thief. If Su Wei guessed correctly, the core of the corpse mountain monster was the Demon King. As long as he was killed, the corpse mountain monster might be able to collapse without attack. Roar. Facing Su Wei's charge, the corpse mountain monster opened its mouth and roared loudly. The huge sound and airflow, like the shock wave of an explosion, shocked Su Wei so much that he had to stop and stabbed a knife into the body under his feet to stabilize his body. As soon as he fell, the living dead stretched out their hands and attacked him frantically. However, their attack power was limited and they could not break Xiaolong's defense at all, not even tickling. After scratching, not even a trace was left. Kaka. Taking this opportunity, the corpse mountain monster grew 2 more arms. One of the arms quickly slapped towards Su Wei's position. Haha, Su Wei, go to hell. Faintly, the sick laughter of the Demon King of the Demon Realm could be heard. That smug look seemed to show the world a rare treasure, and the creator of this rare treasure was him. Humph, Su Wei snorted coldly. With a sudden kick of his feet, Xiaolong also increased his power. The whole person was like a cannonball, shooting at the huge arm that was slapping at him. Those arms that were originally wrapped around Xiaolong's legs were torn off in an instant, turning into slag and falling down. All chop, Su Wei held Pajin with both hands and chopped at the huge arm fiercely. The light blue blade was extremely sharp, and at the same time, it actually condensed internal force. A several meter long sword energy immediately extended from Pajin. With a click, the giant hand of the corpse mountain monster was immediately cut off at the wrist. However, this was useless. The severed palm quickly grew out. The fallen giant hand was caught by another giant hand, and then merged into it like water. Su Wei, it's useless. My big baby can't be killed. Just wait to be destroyed. The more deaths, the more powerful my big baby will be. I'm really looking forward to it, after I absorb you. How high will you grow? The mocking voice of the Demon King of the Demon Realm came again. Su Wei felt that he had become stronger again. If he was in the middle stage of 8 stars before, then now he is in the late stage of 8 stars, and it is infinitely close to 9 stars. Wishful thinking, Su Wei used the power of the previous slash to get closer to the location of the Demon King of the Demon Realm. Now he can see his appearance more clearly. The demon mask is still there, showing a weird smile. The dark green robe on his body is a little damaged, revealing the bandages wrapped underneath. It is certain that his whole body is wrapped like a mummy, without revealing any skin. At this moment, his eyes were also glowing green, and even as he spoke, a light green mist was overflowing from under his mask. Whether it is wishful thinking or not, we will know after the fight. The Demon King of the Demon Realm did not mind Su Wei's ridicule at all, and continued to talk to himself. As he spoke, 2 more arms grew out from the back of the corpse mountain monster. It became a 3-headed and 6-armed posture. Without further ado, Su Wei rushed up in one step. The arms stretched out by the living dead could not stop him at all. They were directly kicked and cut by the snapdragon armor. The Demon King of the Demon Realm calmly controlled the 2 huge arms to come to block Su Wei's attack. But with the full power of the snapdragon, Su Wei turned into a residual image and directly passed through the 2 big hands. He raised a broken army in his hand and stabbed it towards the heart of the Demon King of the Demon Realm. Crash! At this critical moment, the 2 living dead in front of the Demon King of the Demon Realm fell off the body of the corpse mountain monster, but their backs were connected to a long dark green tissue, like a puppet. Su Wei looked closely and saw that they were the remaining 2 demon generals of the Demon Realm, Guz Hengcheng and Ke Jinfei. However, at this time, their eyes were already green, their skin was green, and they had become puppets. Under the control of the Demon King of the Demon Realm, the 2 mutated demon generals rushed towards Su Wei. And they used the kind of killing move that would exchange their lives for their lives. Anyway, the 2 had become close-range puppets, so even if their brains were destroyed, it would not hinder them. They could still kill enemies and block the sword for the Demon King. Get out of the way, Su Wei relied on the protection of the Xianlong armor and did not defend himself at all. He slashed out 2 consecutive knives with a broken army in his hand. With 2 clicks, Gu's Hengcheng and Ke Jinfei were directly cut in half. Su Wei also successfully passed the interception of the 2 and got closer to the position of the Demon King of the Demon Realm. What kind of knife is this? The Demon King was obviously startled. Gu's Hengcheng and Ke Jinfei were different from ordinary living dead, but they were specially refined by him. Moreover, the strength of the 2 before they died was not low, both of them were 7-star revolvers. Unexpectedly, they were so vulnerable in front of Su Wei's long knife. This made the sensitive Demon King feel a little threatened, and also made him realize that the long knife in Su Wei's hand was extraordinary. Humph, pig-killing knife? Learn more, Su Wei answered casually, but his feet were not slow. And he rushed towards the Demon King of the Demon Realm. Asshole! The Demon King of the Demon Realm was instantly enraged and couldn't help but screamed. Come out, demon warriors! Then, the Demon King of the Demon Realm waved his hands. More than 100 demon warriors who survived before broke away from the body of the corpse mountain monster, and their eyes were also glowing green, and their muscles were bulging. However, the demon masks on their faces had fallen off, revealing a face that was neither human nor ghost, which was really scary. The bodies of Gu's Hengcheng and Ke Jinfei were merged together again, leaving almost no trace. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.